Thank you so much for sitting down with me and taking the time to do this.
Yeah, my
I'm
pleasure.
super pumped because I think this is such a big accomplishment. It's no easy task, and I think a lot of people out there just think that, oh, I'll just buy a piece of land and put a house on it. Like,
Yeah,
what's the big deal?
yeah,
And now that you've went through this process firsthand, I'm so excited to hear literally step by step because this is so important to my industry. And when people call me and they see a piece of land for sale, the first thing they do is they say, "Well, I'd like to put a house there. Like,
yeah,
can you sell me the land and then help me put a house on there?"
yeah.
So, well, I guess walk me through like your idea. When did you get the idea of, hey, I think I'm gonna
Yeah.
buy a piece of land and put a house there?
Well, I've always watched like DIY type shows,
Okay.
and for some reason started watching like a homesteading show
Oh,
sometime around COVID,
okay.
maybe a year before COVID hit, and my wife and I really liked having animals, having a little more space. So that was the initial idea, probably
Okay.
2019, somewhere around there. And I did start looking around just to get a little more area. I lived in the San Fernando Valley my whole life.
Okay.
You know, it was fine, no issues, but just wanted more space. My wife wanted animals. I wanted to have a shop
Okay.
and just not be, you know,
And so a tract home wasn't really appealing to you, or like a regular neighborhood where there's houses every 12 feet apart from each other.
no, yeah, just wanted a little more room. But
Okay.
but lived in that type of home and was perfectly happy.
Yeah.
Just at this point in my life, just wanted a little more space. Yeah,
Okay. So elbow room,
yeah,
space to spread out.
yeah.
So, and then you decided to buy the land instead of look for a house that was already built, or did you kind of run this in
No,
parallel?
actually, yeah, you mentioned it. We were looking for houses before that, and
Okay.
my first home was a fixer-upper
Okay.
just before the housing market crashed, 2008.
2008. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and because we bought a fixer-upper, we had a lot of sweat equity in there, and we're able to, you know, not go through all the problems everyone went through in that period, and we came out okay.
Cool.
Yeah, yeah, and I've always been handy, so bought a fixer-upper then. So when I was looking for another home, looked immediately for a fixer-upper. Around 2018, 2019, it seemed like everything was selling for 800, 900,000. I was looking in like in the Chatsworth, Granada Hills area,
Okay.
some in Santa Clarita, and the fixer-uppers required 200, 300 grand.
Yeah.
Like they were pretty bad, and at the asking price, it didn't make financial sense.
Yeah.
And developers would come in and sweep them up. Yeah, flippers. It was very hard to get an offer in,
Yeah. When
as you
you're
know.
like, I guess in your position, you're more of like a regular family mom and pop
Yeah,
investor kind of client. And we find that properties that are distressed, either they go to private money or
yeah,
investors before they even hit the market,
yeah.
or when they do hit the market, then you just get like all cash offers with a
Yes.
12-day
Yeah,
close.
we lost some really good deals that we were hopeful about for because of cash offers.
Yeah.
Yeah, no contingencies. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that didn't really pan out. And we thought, well, maybe we'll look for land. But our immediate thought was what you just said. It's like, how do you even do this? It's going to be too expensive.
Yeah.
But I just started looking,
Okay. And
Yeah.
then you found like a plot of land out in Sand Canyon somewhere,
Yeah.
and you saw the pictures online, and then you drove out there to go take a look at it,
Yeah.
and you kind of sat there and scratched your head and went, maybe I can make this work.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd probably seen and driven to maybe 40 or 50
Oh wow, okay.
to that point.
Yeah.
Yeah. And most of what you'll find if you're looking for vacant land is something on an extreme hill,
Yeah.
something that hasn't sold for years.
Yeah.
There's a reason.
Yeah.
There's something wrong with the land. Maybe,
Right.
it won't percolate for septic systems, or there's some
Correct.
issue.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you'll see that they've been handed down from one to the next, to the next, to the next, and not really sure why. I found a lot of that kind of stuff, a lot of hillsides, or a lot of properties that were very hard to access.
Okay. Oh, so like not direct access. You have, or we call it landlocked in the business.
Yes.
To where if you
Yeah.
do buy this piece of land,
Yeah.
you're going to have to then get this owner's permission to get an easement through his property
Yes.
to get to yours. So then
Yes.
what happens if they don't allow that access? Now
Yeah.
you're buying something that you can't really walk to or
Right.
drive to without trespassing.
Yep.
So it just doesn't make a lot of sense.
And it was interesting. All these properties I went to, usually there was some guy that would pop out and give me a weird eye because
Yeah.
And usually, if I would end up chatting with them, they would discourage me from pursuing what I was doing. What I was pursuing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe they didn't want construction next door to
Yes.
them, or
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
were
They kind of enjoyed whatever was there being vacant.
right. Okay.
Yeah. Even in track areas, I found the same thing because we did look in, tracks or older tracks that were developed a while ago. There were some spaces that had just had a little more 15,000, 12,000 square feet of land was enough.
Okay. Yeah.
And they also were discouraging us from buying for other random reasons.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense, but
Okay.
yeah, so we got lucky. Got a notification. I had a different agent at that time, but
Yeah.
my nephew, he was looking around, but I set up notifications, so I knew immediately. And this came up, and as it came up on my phone, listed 15 minutes ago, I was in my car driving there. As I saw the property, I texted my nephew and said, "Send the offer."
Immediately.
Immediately.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Just from having seen so many,
Yeah.
this one wasn't on a hill.
Got it.
It was fairly flat, easy access, right off
Okay.
of Plaza Rita. I just didn't, and I could see power poles, I could see gas meters, I could see
Okay.
fire hydrants.
Gotcha.
And I learned along the way those are positive things to have.
Good indicators.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So I said, send the offer,
Okay.
full price, and
And what did that time frame look like for the offer? Did you say like I would like a period of time to do a bit of preliminary homework for the
Yeah.
percolation test
Yeah.
because you want to make sure that you can follow through with your plan before you end up closing on that.
yep, the due
So-
diligence is completely different, than you might do in a house. So
Oh,
yeah,
certainly. Yeah.
yeah, there are contingencies in there that the house had to percolate because there wasn't, percolate for a septic system because
Yeah.
there wasn't a sewer system. There was water, there was electricity,
Okay.
near enough.
Okay. To tie in, we call that. Okay.
So I knew I could probably get past those obstacles. I didn't know how much of a challenge they would be until I got there. But
Okay.
yeah, and then there was also engineering and soils reports that needed to be done in addition
Yes.
to the percolation because they just had to make sure that the soil could sustain a home.
Yeah. So how much does the average home weigh? You go
Yeah.
to a civil engineer and you say,
Yeah.
hey, I'm planning on building a 2-story house or a 1-story house on a
Yep.
concrete foundation. And
Yep.
then they do their reports. How do they do their reports? Do they like drill into the earth or do they?
Yeah, they come out and you have to hire. It's an expensive process and it's an investment. And if you don't purchase property, you're just out that money.
Correct. Yeah.
It's anywhere from $7,000 to $12,000 just to have them come out and they with the backhoe.
Got
They
it.
bring a backhoe and they dig trenches. And on my property, they ended up digging, I think it's 12 trenches, the deepest one being 14 feet.
Wow.
So these are deep, deep, deep trenches.
And they're just trying to see the layers of earth
Yeah.
compacted so that they get an idea of like the geological strength of the sand of the soil
Yep.
that you're trying to put your
Just
house
what's
on.
there. Yeah.
Okay.
What's there all the way down. Do they hit water?
Oh yeah,
you know,
definitely. There's a lot of
um,
water in Santa Cruz that people
yeah.
don't know about.
I've heard that.
A
But
lot of our water for the Santa Cruz Valley
Yeah.
literally comes from wells. There's
Wow.
one over by like In and Out on
Yeah.
New Hall Ranch Road. There's numerous treatment facilities around here. So
That's great.
yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm surprised they didn't get to water.
Yeah.
So-
no water.
So you didn't drill a well.
No
so
well.
you're on city water.
hmm
Okay.
I kind of wanted to drill a well, and I would hope to. The vibe that I got was that the city discouraged it. They want you to be tied
Okay.
into the water service.
So they get paid?
I believe so.
Okay, yeah, right,
It's-
maybe.
yeah.
That's my thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
So,
also what I'm wondering is when you buy the land, they deliver you like the title report with plotted
Yes.
easements
yeah,
and
and that was a mess.
was it really?
All those things are a mess.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I mean,
well, let's get into it
they
then.
just the property had been owned by so many different. It had owned by companies. It
Okay.
had been owned by people. It had been sold and it had been divided. I mean,
Whoa.
it was a lot. The title companies struggled.
Really?
yeah.
To deliver you like an actual color coded
Yes.
map of like, hey,
Yeah.
this is where a pipe is, so you
Yeah.
can't dig in this area.
Yes.
And so your lot lines, were they able to provide you with
The
accurate
lot lines were
or-
unclear. No, if you hire a surveyor.
Surveyor,
also.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's a lot out of pocket before you even know you're going to have the property or even be able to build on it.
Yeah.
And of course, the seller's like, I want to close, I want to close, I want to close.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, I don't even know if I can build a house here.
Right. Right.
So, there's a little back and forth. It took about, I think we ended up at somewhere around closer to 90 days than 60. We were originally at 60 days to try to close.
Okay.
We ended up closer to 90.
Okay.
Which
is-
but there were problems all the way up to the, 80th day. It was,
Really?
yeah, it was interesting. It just seemed like it wasn't going to happen. And then it did.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the first initial homework that you did was, okay, I'm going to put an offer in on the
Yeah.
land. We're going to get it locked up under
Yep.
contract so that
Yep.
I can kind of go to work and do all my homework.
Yep.
And that homework was starting with a civil engineer,
Soils engineer.
soil engineer.
Specifically a soils engineer, which sometimes are civil, but sometimes they're not.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then was there any like seismic risks, like when you got the reports for the natural hazards and stuff? Were you in
I
a
did that
flood
research
or a
myself.
fire?
I did all
Okay.
that research myself.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not aware there's an entity that would do that for you.
Okay.
I didn't know of anybody that would, so I just got on the I think it's either state or federal sites.
Okay.
And it very pretty clearly says if you're in a flood zone, if you're in an earthquake zone,
Okay.
the distances. Yeah, no one, that I had been doing already for the other properties.
Okay, cool.
We did have a great property in Ventura that I loved that we couldn't buy because it was too close to a fault line.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I had offers and everything, but that was one that I eventually heard from the neighbors, like this property has sold 10 times and no one's ever been able to develop on it.
Got it.
Yeah.
So maybe they know something you
Yeah.
don't, or they've gotten to that step in the process.
So
Yeah.
so the soil engineer comes in, does all this digging, and then
Yep.
he essentially tells me your house can go here,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
which is interesting because we didn't plan to put the house where it is now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So-
This is where it's right over there, no good over here. Your septic tank has to go here.
Okay.
And I thought he was kidding at first, and he's like, "No, this is where your house is going." I'm like, "I kind of wanted it over there,
Yeah.
you know, a little bit on a hill."
That's so funny that you say that because sometimes we'll get to properties that are custom one-off homes
Yeah.
here in town. And when you look at the way the house is situated on the lot, I just think to myself, I'm like, gosh, I would have made it, I would have had the backyard bigger over here. So that makes sense now that sometimes they tell you where you can put your house.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. In our specific case, the soil was not in good shape. We believe, or they believe, that when Placerita Canyon Road was built,
Uh-huh.
or the houses around it were built, that they dumped their soil onto this lot.
So it's what's called infill, I think,
Yes,
right?
or infill. Yeah,
Maybe.
it just wasn't compacted. Ever.
Gotcha. Okay.
So we had we had to get estimates on what it would cost to dig up and recompact all the soil.
Okay. And those are those big machines like the asphalt rollers where you
Yeah,
see and they just
yeah.
drive back
big,
and forth.
big bulldozers, big
Okay.
machinery.
Okay. So
And
that was part
almost
of,
a deal breaker.
was that part of grading then? Like the
That
grading
was-
permit?
We're still in the purchase of the lot phase.
Wow. Okay. So
Yeah.
you don't even grade the land yet. You're just trying to
No.
see if you can put
So
a
to get
house
permission from the owner to do all this digging,
Right.
you know, to do all the trenches, soil engineer, and then once she approved that, then we found out the soil was not ready to be built on.
Okay.
The estimates to get it ready were somewhere between $60,000 to $140,000
Oh
to,
my
to
gosh.
make the land to recompact it.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
just the area where the house would be.
yeah. So
Yeah.
at this point, you're already in it $100 or more $1,000.
Yeah.
And once you knew that, you're like, okay, well, I've kind of budgeted for that, or this is
Well, we didn't. Well, the next step was like, hey, seller, you know, we need a big reduction in the asking price because of this consideration. Anyone who builds here is going to have to deal with this issue.
gotcha.
So she was reasonable and she dropped her price.
Awesome.
Yeah. So just like you would if there was damage to the roof on a house.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was damage to the soil. So she did. You probably know what the term is.
Give you a credit or they
Yeah,
restructured
exactly.
the deal or
Yeah.
something. Okay.
So she gave us a credit, dropped the price, and then we were able to use that money to pay for this.
Cool.
For this, but it was just all plans at this point. And the hard part is like we don't even know the size of the house. We
Whoa.
don't even know like is going to be a 2-story or 1-story. But they need to know where the house is going to be and approximately what size it's going to be to estimate how much grading they're going to have to do and how much excavation. So
Okay.
so immediately you're like inundated with things that you have no idea about.
Yeah.
And since I don't have a contractor, I don't think most people would have a contractor at this point.
No.
Right.
I would think like a land use specialist or an
Yes.
engineering
Yes.
firm.
Even a contractor, they're like, I don't deal with that. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Grading people were like, I've never, we do this for, apartments or for, basements. Like we don't normally dig and recompact, 14 feet of soil on a typical
Okay.
house.
Yeah.
So it was unusual, but I found some, just making a lot of phone calls.
Gotcha.
I got 12 or I think about 10, 12 bids
Okay.
for that. And some people are just willing to stay on the phone and talk to you.
Yeah.
And that was extremely helpful.
Right. Yeah.
And that's where I ended up understanding a little bit of what I had to do.
And those are the people that are probably more knowledgeable anyways,
Yeah,
right? That
yeah.
have done it before, that
Yeah.
makes you feel confident that, okay, I'm not taking a chance with this company. It sounds like they've done it before and they can help.
Yeah.
So you take those bids a bit more seriously, I
Yep.
think, for sure.
And local,
Okay.
local, like even people in Burbank or that were in the Valley just
Mhm.
didn't know the area.
Okay.
And just a little bit of more experience and knowledge in the area was huge.
Okay.
So we got past that. She reduced the price. We closed. And then, the fun part began.
Okay.
Yeah.
The fun part meaning
The not
going.
fun part.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess when a regular house sells, you get keys, right?
Yeah.
But the land, you just got the deed, right?
Yeah.
So title recorded, your name
Yep.
goes on the deed, and now you're the proud owner of this dirt.
Yes.
And is that when you decided, okay, based on the information that I have now about how big my house can be approximately, now you go to an architect and
Yeah.
say, hey, do you have any prefab stuff that you can,
Yep.
I can pay for to send me? Or did you go total spec, custom, like everything?
We went to the city. We're like, what are the steps to build a house?
Gotcha.
Like literally the most basic of all questions. And they do have a good amount of resources. They have lots of checklists. They have a program that you can go through and kind of input some numbers in and kind of some ideas of what you want to do, and it kind of spits out the steps,
Okay.
like literally pages and pages of steps.
Wow.
Yeah, and the first step is city planning.
Okay.
Yeah, and they'd say, yeah, you need to have, hire an architect, They really can't tell you exactly. They give you the information, but it's a little bit cloaked for some reason. But
Okay.
yes, hire an architect. Although you don't have to hire an architect, but hire an architect.
Well, bring us plans so we can
Yes,
review them
exactly.
and either approve, deny, or recommend changes to these plans.
Exactly. Yeah.
So they're like, hey, bring us something to
Yes.
look at least.
Yep.
Okay.
And that's where I learned I was going to have to do. They also required soil testing, but I already had that done. So like, oh,
Perfect.
great, we got that done.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I'm ahead of schedule.
Yes, exactly. And then they want, since the area had some, it was kind of mountainous, in the hills, they
Mhm.
wanted all kinds of different surveys done for wildlife or plant life that might be endangered or protected federally or by the state.
Okay. So we call those ecological or
Yes.
environmental studies.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when they say we're requiring you to have 1, 2, 3 different environmental studies
Yeah.
done, and once you've done these environmental studies, come back to us with these reports so we can get you to the next step.
Yep.
Okay. So did they give you a list of
Yeah.
hey, you can call these people for the trees, right? I know
Yeah.
oak trees are protected in
Yeah.
Santa Clarita. And
They
then
don't give you people to call, they just give you like departments.
okay,
Yeah.
cool. And then you had mentioned to me previously about a very specific frog or bird
Yeah.
that almost broke you guys throughout this roller coaster ride.
The gnatcatcher bird,
The gnatcatcher is a specific bird
Yeah.
that's federally protected
federally protected.
in Santa Clarita or just across the federal United
The
States.
United States.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's
Okay.
taken very, very seriously. I don't know exactly why this one bird, but I guess they have to draw the line somewhere and say,
Yeah.
hey, too many birds. Like this bird is federally protected now. I'm not sure what its
Gotcha.
reasoning is, but
Bald eagles and
yes.
gnatcatchers.
And then gnatcatchers. It's a small little bird. It probably looked like any other bird.
Wow.
I've never seen one, thank goodness, because
Yeah.
if I had seen one, I wouldn't be able to build.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
they come out and they spend an allotted amount of time
Yeah.
at the property with binoculars,
A
I'm
day.
Assuming,
Mhm.
to try and identify if this species is a local or
Yep.
native species.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what's interesting is he had already done this in the area because this is a federally protected bird. So anybody that wants to build has to do this.
Okay.
So there's a database where he can go and look, and he can see if it has been spotted anywhere.
Mm.
And a gnatcatcher had not been spotted anywhere within a 5-mile radius of this property, which is a good sign
Yeah.
because if they're there, then they're protected
Yeah.
and you can't build, or you
Okay.
have to be very careful about the way you build. But they still needed to do all the work. And
Okay.
he told me up front, there's not gonna be any gnatcatchers here. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
find anything, but I gotta do the whole thing, gotta
Yeah,
do the whole
yeah.
rigmarole. A big chunk of money. That was about $4,000 to $6,000.
Oh my gosh. I'm in the wrong business. I got to go bird watch.
Yeah. And he had to come back a couple times. He's also looking for oak trees and other plants that might be protected.
Oh, so a general
Yeah, he does-
study of
yeah.
protected
Mhm.
species and plants.
He does
and-
both, yeah.
Okay. Cool.
And also, yeah, he looked also for the frog, which I can't remember the name of the frog, but there was a specific frog that might have been there, and he wasn't.
Perfect.
Yes.
Okay. So a little bit of
Yeah.
luck too throughout this whole process.
Yeah,
where
a lot.
You would have been in this over $100,000.
Yes.
And then if a frog shows up,
Yes.
you are now stuck with a property that
Yes.
has trenches dug
Yes.
and half
At this
a
point,
checklist.
I haven't done the $100,000 thing because
Okay.
we've just done the surveys, the trenching for the pits
Uh-huh.
to see, but the big excavation and recompaction, which is
Haven't done that yet.
no, that
Okay.
was let's get past city planning,
Okay.
and then if we find that we can build a house, then we have to do that.
Smart the
That's
way
the first
you.
step of grading. Yeah.
Yeah.
They actually wouldn't let you. I need to have permits to do that.
Okay.
So I couldn't do that until I got past city planning, then to engineering,
Okay.
which is grading.
And grading and engineering are one and the same.
Yeah.
Okay.
For me, they were in and I'm in the jurisdiction of Santa Clarita.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
which was a
maybe-
good thing.
Yeah, maybe different counties are slightly
yeah.
different requirements.
Yep.
I'm curious now, like, the houses that you see in Malibu, right?
Oh goodness.
Like,
yeah.
hey, like, we want to build a house here.
I found
they
some
don't-
really nice cheap lots in Malibu,
Yeah,
and I didn't understand why they were so cheap. And
probably.
they're going to go through. They won't be able to. The average person, they had to be built by a multi-million-dollar, developer
Yeah.
to be able to get through all the hoops
Yeah.
and the years and years and years of hoops to get through to build. Yeah.
So then they would be priced properly
Yeah,
based on
exactly, yeah.
the conditional use
Yeah.
of them.
Yeah.
Because you see all those like giant concrete like
And
pylons,
pillars, yeah.
so you got to think that
Yeah.
those go down pretty far, and that's
Yeah.
not cheap to build all those. And then you're putting your house
I
on
mean,
top of it.
if you've got the money,
Yeah.
it seems like you just buy a lot in Malibu and you spend $5,000-7,000 to build it and you sell it for 10. Like it seems like an easy equation, but these
Yeah.
lots have been available for a long time.
Yeah.
There's some other issues.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense
Yeah.
because sometimes you see properties that sit for a while, and you got to think that at least someone's tried, right?
Yeah.
If it was really that easy, they would probably be swooped up. So
Yep.
it was kind of a perfect scenario for you. Right when it hit the market, you were kind of the first one to get eyes on
Yep.
it and start this process.
Yep. And she
Okay.
wanted to sell, so she's
Motivated.
Yeah, she
Good.
wanted to sell quickly, which was a little nerve wracking. Why she wanted to sell so fast, but yeah,
Hey.
it was good. Yeah,
Yeah.
it worked out.
Yeah, they didn't put it up for fun. They put it up for sale.
Yeah.
So
So city planning, Santa Clarita City Planning gives you this list of all of these different things you have to do. Architect, get your plans together. They want to see what the house is going to look like. They want
Okay.
elevations,
yeah.
and they wanted color elevations.
Okay.
So color elevations to see what kind of paint we're going to use. So
yeah.
I'm having to make these decisions that I did not think I would be making so early. Like I don't know what the color of the house is going to be. I don't know what the color of the roof is going to be.
Yeah.
I don't know what the trim is going to look like. The fascia, like I have no idea.
Got it.
But it's like time to decide.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
didn't even have an architect yet. So
Wow.
it's like, yeah, this is the first step. So bit of advice, like spend more than you think you would need to on your architect.
Okay. Yeah.
I learned that architects either have a flat fee or they charge a percentage of your final cost of your whole project.
Oh, okay.
And that's, I believe, for more high-end,
okay.
multi-million-dollar spec homes.
Yeah.
Most I found charge a flat fee.
Okay.
And I did go for the lowest.
Yeah.
At that point, money was already starting to pour out, and that was a
Yeah.
huge mistake.
Okay.
Huge mistake. Biggest mistake I made.
Okay. So
Yeah.
so the people that are worth their weight in gold are
Yeah.
these architects
Yes.
that have done it before that can
Yes.
help you throughout the process.
Mhm.
Okay. I guess
Yeah.
that's kind of like a good lawyer too, right? Like
Yeah,
You
these
don't-
professionals, unfortunately, there's a lot of them. And yeah,
They're
and
not all-
they vary. No,
not
yeah.
all created
I guess it's
equal.
that way in every field, but
Yeah.
we went through two. I had to fire two architects.
Oh wow. Okay.
One kind of fired himself, he just disappeared. And these were architects that were kind of home based, so it wasn't like
Yeah.
I could go to an office and confront them. They were
Gotcha.
just disappeared. They were just
Okay.
gone. Stopped responding.
Yeah.
That
And
was
when
it.
you interviewed these guys, were you getting recommendations, or you just kind of doing some research on your own, or did someone say, "Hey, I use this guy. He's great."
The one I hired was referred to me by an engineer,
Okay.
so I thought it was a really good recommendation. Like, hey,
Yeah.
we've worked with this guy a few times. He's kind of up and coming. He's
Yeah.
not like this. Doesn't have a firm, and I thought this is
Sure.
perfect. That's what I'm looking for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Save a little money. So I thought that was a good. But he ended up getting very busy and
Okay.
and just not have any attention to detail.
Yeah. Back burner your project,
Yes.
maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Really slow turnaround on things, and then even design wise, just odd
Okay.
mistakes. There was mistakes.
Okay.
There was windows where there were supposed to be stairs,
Okay.
like on a landing. Like there shouldn't be a staircase. Just odd things.
Yeah.
The design of the home was odd. I don't know
Okay.
how else to put it. Things
Okay.
out of
Didn't
place.
flow. Didn't make
Didn't
sense.
flow.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you fire this guy. You get a new architect in,
Mhm.
and now at this point you have like plans with
Yes.
dimensions. So
Yes. So with the first architect, we got past city planning.
so now we're having to redraw and resubmit
to read-
plans.
Yes, the new architect was able to redraw everything because I didn't get the plans from the first guy because he is out of communication.
Oh
So I had
man.
to pay someone to redraw everything.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
But luckily, the second architect had a better eye for design and space and made some adjustments, moved our staircase to a corner,
Okay.
literally, or moved it more to the center. It wasn't a corner, and it made a huge difference in the layout.
Yeah.
We were able to gain an office out of it,
Okay.
oddly enough, with the same square footage.
Cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's cool. And a half bath.
Okay.
So that's kind of an example of how bad the other architect was.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so yeah, he had to recreate everything, start over. I ended up paying more than I would have paid if I would have gone with a good architect in the beginning.
Damn.
I ended up paying it over the course of 3 architects to redraw plans and
Okay.
redo things. And I
Well,
learned a
that's
lesson there.
That's great advice
Yeah.
for someone that's thinking about doing this.
Yeah.
Is
It's
to take that
all
extra time.
about the architect.
Gotcha. Okay.
All of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So
The architect designs it and the engineer makes sure it can be built in a safe way.
right.
What posting to go where, what the foundation looks like.
Yeah.
So the architect is,
these two professions, they work side by side, even though they're separate professionals, right?
I thought they would be together. I'm glad you asked that, 'cause I just assumed they would be in the same company. And I
Yeah.
did find a couple firms that did have architect and engineering,
Yeah.
but for the most part, they're completely separate.
Kind of feels like
And they don't interact very much.
yeah.
Yeah, the architect draws up all the plans, all the elevations, gets them to the engineer, and to my knowledge, they never spoke.
Okay. Because in our industry, like you think about, okay, let's say you have a lawyer and then you have your CPA
Yeah.
and then you have your financial advisor.
Yeah.
So when you have a big decision to make to sell or move money around or
Yeah.
change the structure of 2 or 3 or 4 houses for your family and how they're all set up, I mean, it gets busy when
Yeah.
you start emailing all these professionals and they all, no, I think you should do this. Well, this doesn't make sense, you know.
Yeah.
So everybody all has to kind of play nice in the sandbox.
If you can get a company that has them both together,
All in
it's a
one.
huge advantage.
Yeah.
The other reason is that your engineer can save you money, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars,
Okay.
by engineering something a certain way. So your engineer could say, hey, this span that you have here,
Yeah.
if we just did this a little bit this way,
Because they're more practical.
Yeah.
They are actually building it, so they
Yeah.
know in the field what's going to make
Yeah.
sense
yeah,
versus the guy who's on the computer
yeah.
trying to make his design beautiful.
Yeah.
And okay,
Yeah, they're not so much in the field, but your contractor, if all three of them are involved, your contractor
Yeah.
can also say, hey, this is going to be a lot of work. But your engineer, immediately can save you some money.
okay,
Shear walls, things that, are out of my depth.
Yeah.
They like, this isn't going to work. This will work here. This will work there. Let's move this.
okay,
He could make suggestions to the architect. They work together and then come up with what works best for aesthetics and for budget
and function. Yeah.
and function. And I didn't get that. They
Okay.
were completely separate. And then one of the bad things about my architect was, I wanted him to tell me, he was all about what do you want, what do you want, what do you want, which was great.
Yeah.
But I don't know a lot of what I want.
Guide me. Yeah.
Guide me, and he didn't.
Man.
So if I said, hey, that window seems a little small, do you think it should be bigger? I would get, a few weeks later, a plan that with the window bigger
Okay.
instead of ideas on what,
Okay.
So it was a rough process.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now at this point, you have a new architect with plans drawn up
Yeah.
that are now approved by the city.
Yeah.
And then at this point, do you start looking for contractors?
Yes. So the one thing that I did, and I was able to get this whole thing done, I think in shorter amount of time than most people,
Uh-huh.
is because I was always getting bids and asking for bids way in advance of when I needed them.
Okay.
I was getting septic bids the day after I put in the offer. I was getting septic bids,
Okay.
not knowing I had to get also grading bids, but I got those also. And then
Yeah.
as I'm going through city planning, I already had several bids on to build the home. I had engineering bids.
Okay.
I had some bids a year in advance of when I used them,
Wow.
which was a little unusual. And then I was like, hey, remember me?
Yeah.
I'm here now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you need to revise that at all? And they would revise and then send it back to me. And then but it helped a lot.
Okay.
So, and when I would get a bid, I would try to get, people say 2 or 3 bids. I would try to get 10, 12 bids.
Yeah. That seems a bit extreme.
Yeah.
And from me and what I usually do when let's say I need to get something painted,
Yeah.
I'm calling 2 or 3
Yeah.
painters. I'm not calling 10.
No.
So, but that's a good way to really make sure that you're not getting screwed over and that everything's cohesive. And
Yeah.
if one guy has a better idea,
Yeah.
you can interview more people.
I did that early on because I knew I had the time.
Yeah.
Before construction started, I knew once construction started, I wouldn't be able to do it. And it
Okay.
happened to me. And my electrician, I only got 1 bid.
Okay.
That's
Wow.
not good.
Yeah.
But at the point that I needed to start, I had a hard time getting bids from electricians. I'm not sure why.
Whoa.
But the point I needed to start, it was like, they're done with framing. They're like, I need to go with electricity now. Or
Yeah.
I'm sorry, pour the foundation because electrical goes in the foundation.
Yeah.
Like we can't start. You need to have an electrician. I hired the one that sent me the 1 bid.
Okay.
I got lucky.
Yeah.
I think I overpaid, but I got lucky in the fact that he was a good electrician.
Okay. Cool.
But yeah, some bids are harder to get.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know why, but I literally would set up just an email. If I was going to email engineers,
Just copy
I
paste.
just copy paste, boom, 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 boom,
Wow.
boom, boom, boom. And the other thing is, the reason I would try to get bids from 10, 12 is only about half of them will respond.
So that narrows it down right
There
there.
you go, boom.
Perfect.
And then some are, the span of bids that you get is incredible. Like I said, the bids for grading the exact same job, exact same specs were from 60,000 to 150,000.
Yeah.
It was like, it's the same job. It's
Yeah.
dig and then compact.
Yeah.
So that was crazy.
Yeah.
And it was that way for all of the trades, all the way through the end, even tile work, roof, everything.
Yeah.
The span sometimes was 50, double.
Yeah.
Some would charge double.
We see that sometimes with pools,
Yeah.
right? When people
Yeah.
get bids for pools, the cheapest pool we've seen is like, oh, we can do this for 60 grand.
Yeah.
You're not gonna have a heater, and it's gonna be plaster. You're not gonna get fancy Pebble Tech or water features or anything.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be a hole that has water in it. So
Yes.
that's all your goal is, right?
Right.
And then there's some people that do pools, they won't even touch a job for under 250 or 300.
Jeez, yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
whew,
Or they get busy
yeah.
and they got jobs lined up.
So they'll overbid a
They
job.
overbid it.
Yeah,
Yeah. And they themselves later, once I got to know these guys a little more, yeah, we overbid them all the time.
yeah,
And sometimes people say yes. You go, oh, okay, great. Well, I'll squeeze you in then.
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
It's a good way to run your business, right? You double your
Yeah.
price and work with half as many people.
Yes.
You're
Yeah.
making the same amount of money at the end
Yep.
of the day.
Yep.
So
Pick your clients. Yeah.
yeah, that's true. Okay. So electricity. So you had to contact Edison to get the power from the pools down underground to
Yeah.
a transformer outside your home.
I don't think most people will have to go through this, but there wasn't electricity on the property and there wasn't water. So I had to go through those steps with Santa Clarita Water and then also Edison.
Okay.
And that was a big rigmarole. It was a whole separate thing outside of like none of the contractors, like nobody really dealt with any of that stuff.
No, from my knowledge, they're not allowed to touch those
Yeah.
power lines,
Yeah.
right? Those are Edison's power
Yeah.
lines. They have to be the ones to touch them.
Yeah.
So, and how did you know what step to contact these people? Did they tell you, hey,
Same thing. I reached out to them almost when I bought the property.
okay,
Yeah.
hey,
Just
I'm
to
planning
know
on
I was
doing
able
this.
to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
What are the steps? So by the time I was having to take the steps, I already knew everything needed to be done. I was kind of in their system.
Yeah.
I had a contact. Um,
How
but-
did you stay organized with all of this? I mean, this sounds like hundreds of emails, hundreds of steps,
yeah.
and you're running a business and you're trying to spend time with your family
Yeah.
all throughout this whole process.
Yeah.
Where was the most of your working hours? Were you, hey, after dinner, like I'm going to lock myself in the closet for a
Yeah.
couple hours, or did you wake up early and try and
there was
knock
a
a lot of
lot
stuff
of
out?
10 to 12 p.m.
Yeah.
once the family's asleep and, yeah.
Yeah.
You look through my sent mail. I would fight, like I said, there was a lot of the same email. All these go to the electrician. All these go
Yeah.
to the plumber. There was just a lot of emails at that time. I'd wake up and I'd have, some responses. So it was kind of cool.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of it was during that time. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I realized later that if you want to actually speak to someone who's in the trades, who's in construction, not the professional side of it, you have to reach them between like 6 and 8 a.m.
Yeah, before they start
before they
working.
get on the job. Yeah. Once they're answering their phone and once they're on the job, they're not answering. Once they're on the job, they're not answering their phone.
Right. Yeah.
And a lot of times those guys in the trades also aren't great on email.
Yeah.
So a lot of emails would be unresponded. They wouldn't respond and I would have to call them.
Yeah.
And that took a lot of time and that just has to be early in the morning.
Like my electrician that I use, we went to high school together,
Yeah.
and I'm encouraging him to get a virtual assistant in the Philippines
Yeah.
to handle his calls and his
Yeah.
bookings
Yep.
for him, because when he's on a job, he's putting up a chandelier and his
Yeah.
phone rings. He's not going to sit there and take that call, and that's important business that he needs to get to
Yeah.
in a timely manner.
And most of them aren't set up that way. Most
Yeah.
of them won't have. Some
No.
of them have their spouse.
Right.
I
which
noticed a
helpful.
lot of them.
Yeah.
Their spouse handles the phone calls, and that seems to work out well for them. But
Yeah.
most of them do not. It's
Yeah.
voicemails,
hmm
and then you imagine how many voicemails they get.
Gosh, it's like missed opportunities for
Yes,
those
a
guys.
ton.
It's like a gold
A
mine.
ton.
Yeah.
But when things are busy, like they have been the last whatever many years, they've got work. Like it doesn't really matter to them. You
Yeah.
know, if it was some other kind of crisis or something, then then they'll try to react, but it'll probably be too late. But yeah, it was hard to reach these people.
Yeah.
Very, very few returned voice messages. Texting, they return
Yeah.
eventually.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got at this point now you have the trenches, the electrical underground. You pour your foundation, so you get your concrete truck out there.
Mhm.
The people that poured the foundation, are those from the contracting company, or was this a separate? You just called concrete companies and said, "Hey, I need
Yeah.
200 yards of concrete poured. Can you come
Yeah.
build the forms and everything?"
Well, those specific contractors, people that deal in cement and foundations are a specific class of contractor.
Okay.
I forget, like C10 or C11. I don't remember exactly, but don't
Okay.
quote me on that. But so they handle all of that ordering and stuff like that. If you're just going to pour a small pad,
Yeah.
then you might be able to call yourself. But this was a lot of concrete,
Okay.
and that was once engineering planned it. So I got past planning, they approved everything, and then I was able to move on to engineering with the city. And then they're the ones they receive plans from your civil engineer. He creates your grading plan.
Okay.
They might also ask for like flood plans. They might what do they call it? SW. how you're going to manage
Flood
Uh,
control maintenance
yes,
systems.
how you're going to manage the
V-ditches.
water, yep,
Okay.
all that stuff during construction and after.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
And it
there's
did rain
a
quite a
lot,
bit.
a ton.
Yeah, when you were building.
Some of the biggest rains in the decade.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So once engineering then approved, the engineering was easy to get through. Actually, I have a very good civil engineer,
Okay.
JT Engineering,
Yes, I've
And
seen
I'll-
him around town.
awesome. In
Yeah.
El Dulce, again local. I talked to a few others, but these guys are excellent. I ended up using them for as much as I could.
Okay.
They do engineering, civil engineering, and they do soils as well. I ended up switching my soils to them as well.
Cool.
They're awesome. They helped me more than anybody else throughout the entire process, not just that, but they were
Okay.
awesome. Yeah. So so those guys came in. I had the engineering plan. Engineering wasn't that hard to get to. All the recompaction and compaction happened. When it was done, it looked exactly the same. Just my wallet
It's
was
just stronger.
Yes,
Yeah, and your
it
wallet's
looked
empty.
literally exactly the same. We dug
Yeah.
it out and we filled it up.
Yeah.
And then they dug it out again to do the foundation, and so it's kind of interesting. But yeah, they're great. They dug out and then they ordered all the concrete. And Christmas, 2 days before Christmas, they started 2 or 3 days. We started all the forms, framing everything, and then
Okay.
yeah, truck. I think I don't know if it was 8 or 12 trucks.
That's a lot of concrete.
Yeah, and
Wow.
it has to happen all at once. Go back to back to back. boom,
Yeah,
boom,
yeah.
boom, boom,
Line them
boom.
up.
Yeah. JT Engineering was a civil engineer. JT Engineering was a civil, and his brother happens to also do grading and concrete and foundations. So
Okay.
I stayed with them for all that same company. They knocked it out.
Amazing.
I mean, the construction and the work phase of this is easier than the planning
yeah.
and plans and all the pre-part of it. City planning was the hardest to get through.
Okay.
That took 8 months.
Wow.
Maybe?
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're just going through their checklist, trying to
Yes.
satisfy their requirements
Yeah.
before you can even
Yeah.
pour your
Yeah.
foundation.
Super nice people. Super nice people. Unfortunately, they have a lot of turnover.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, some of the forms that they give you are combined with commercial.
Okay.
There's a lot of commercial development out here. So they asked me to do certain things that I later find out I didn't have to do.
Okay.
And I'd come in, they'd give me 6 things to do. I'd do them, over the course of 2 months. I'd come back, here's the 6 things. They'd go, oh yeah, you forgot these 2 things. I said, no, the other person said I didn't have to do those 2 things. Well,
Yeah.
you do. Okay. I could have done them at the same time, but now I
Yeah.
have to spend time on those 2 things. And that
Yeah.
happened 4 or 5 times.
So what was the most frustrating part of all this? Like just going and getting 2 different answers from the same person in the
Yeah.
city? Like, hey,
Yeah.
like,
That was
That-
tough.
yeah.
Yeah, they're very, very, very nice, very helpful,
Yeah.
very responsive. Answer the phone every time.
Okay.
That's Santa Clarita's awesome with
Yeah.
all that. Just a little more clarity in exactly the steps of what I needed to do,
Okay.
since I was trying to be so far ahead.
Yeah.
We didn't have a house at this point. We're living in an RV, so I'm very motivated to
Yeah.
do something, get into a house.
And now that you have the deed to the land, you parked it on the actual property itself?
We were told we were not allowed to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we parked it in my mom's driveway
Okay.
in the valley,
That
which we're
works.
also not allowed to, but they didn't have a problem with it in the valley.
Yeah.
Seems to happen a lot.
Your code enforcement's not driving around there.
No. So the neighbors were cool, and we lived in my mom's driveway in an RV for 2 years,
Okay.
Yeah.
So this whole process, start to finish, was about 2 years?
3 years.
2-3 years?
Yeah. Construction
Wow.
was about 9 months,
Okay.
and the whole other part of it was 2 years.
Okay.
Getting the plans approved and just getting through that process was a couple years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So once your foundation's poured and then you start framing your
Yep.
house,
Yep.
and once the framing is up on your home and you're able to like walk through it and get a sense of like, this is a reality now,
Yeah.
right? How exciting was that to actually have like a home to walk through,
Yeah.
right? And you
Not
get
at
to
all.
see, it wasn't, no? Oh,
I
no.
mean, for my wife, it was.
Okay.
For me, it was all stress
The entire time.
the entire time.
Did you lose any weight or gain any weight?
Oddly enough, I gained weight. But yeah, it was all stress, no fun for me.
Okay.
I thought it would be fun. There's nothing to be enjoyed in this process. Nothing. But that's kind of the way I am. I'm more about completing
Yes.
than the journey.
Gotcha.
So
You're satisfied when the task is complete.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. But
But little miniature wins along the way, right?
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
I also decided to be the owner builder.
Yes.
So I didn't have a contractor overseeing all the subs.
Oh, okay.
And my civil engineer gave me this idea. He also was a developer. He said, you can do this yourself. You
Yeah.
can be the contractor.
Yes.
And we originally wanted to build a 3,500 square foot house. We started doing the math, and that wasn't going to be possible.
As far as like price per square foot
Yeah.
goes? Okay.
Yeah. That was going to put us into, million and 1.2,
Okay.
somewhere in that range for a 3,500 square foot house.
That's all said and done, right? Or that's just the house portion, not so far of what
Mostly
you've
the
done to-
house and professional services and,
Okay.
permit fees, all that stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Um,
So did you end up getting any type of financing for this, or did you finance this all yourself? Were you getting construction
Self-financed.
loans?
yeah.
Okay, so
Did-
you had saved money and you
Yeah.
said, this is my plan, this is what I'm going to do.
Yep. Some
know.
family money, some personal loans from family. It was very
Okay.
hard to get loans. Also, this is just as COVID is happening
Yeah.
now with
Uh-huh.
the depth of COVID. So apparently land loans stopped.
Yeah, they don't like
construction
to
loans. No.
they don't like to lend on land and construction because they're considered like speculative.
Yeah.
There's really nothing for them to come back and take.
Yes.
There's no value
No
for them
equity.
to tie your loan to.
And their land might get stuck in a sales process for years and they have no idea if they'll ever get their money back. So I get
Right.
it. Yeah.
From a
I looked
risk
at hard money
factor.
lenders and those they wanted 10,
Oh.
12%. That was
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
We talked to some family here and there. Most of them said no.
Okay.
And then, we had a little bit of money, enough to get started. And honestly, in the beginning, I didn't know if I could finish it.
Oh wow.
So not a good way to get into a project.
Yeah.
So I knew I needed to save money,
As you're going.
chunks of money.
Yeah.
And since I'm handy enough, I decided to do some things myself
Gotcha.
and be my own contractor.
Yes. So that's important.
Yeah.
We did that on our remodel.
Yeah.
Where my dad was like, "Look, we're gonna get a tile guy. We're gonna get a
Yeah.
plumber. When the plumber and the tile guy can work together to finish the bathroom, and I'm gonna go buy a vanity and I'm gonna walk it into this house and I'm gonna say, hey, hook it up.
Yeah.
I can screw it to the
Yep.
wall and
That's
caulk
it.
it up. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you just, in that scenario, you cut out the, $3,000 or $4,000 that a contractor would make.
Yeah.
And
But every step.
oh yeah,
In
when
every
in a
room.
home, we're talking about 100, 150, or 200 grand that a contractor might make.
Yeah.
So for us to be able to finish this house, it meant no contractor. I wanted to have a contractor.
Yeah. It would have been helpful along
Yes.
the way. But
yeah, I have a full-time job, and my wife and I own 2 businesses. So I wanted a contractor, but it just wasn't possible.
yeah.
Yeah. And I'm very handy, and I can build a house.
Yeah.
If you gave me 10 years, I can probably
Okay.
build a house.
No
but
way.
I didn't want to build a house.
Yeah.
But because I'm very handy, I decided to do a few things myself. I installed the roof myself.
Really?
Yeah.
So how did you do that? Once it was framed, you
YouTube.
went to Home Depot and you got
Yeah.
the waterproofing membrane. And did you have shingles or was it the concrete
Did a metal
tiles?
roof. I did a metal roof.
Okay.
Which there was a few things in the house that were like we weren't going to skimp on. Like we wanted the best windows.
Yes.
We ended up with the cheapest windows.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. We wanted a metal roof. We ended up with a metal roof, thank goodness.
Okay.
It's the most expensive kind of roof you can have, but it's a lifetime roof.
Okay.
We also like the aesthetic of it. And
Yeah.
we're in a very high fire zone,
Yep.
and the metal roof just made sense. We wanted a large, very large, bifolding, fully open span, 18-foot door.
Yeah.
We were able to make that happen.
Those are 40 grand for those
Yeah.
big sliders, right? They
Yes.
click down.
Yes.
Those are my favorite. They
Yes.
look so good though.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there was a few things where, there was a lot of things. I wanted a 40 by 60 shop. That ended up being a normal 3-car garage.
Okay.
So we cut back we wanted a 3,500 square foot house. We ended up with 2,500 or 2,600.
Okay.
That saved, if you want to add a one room,
Uh-huh.
one bedroom that's 12 by 14,
Uh-huh.
it's a little normal room.
Yeah.
It's $50,000 if you're doing the math by $350 a square foot.
Okay.
So it's like, okay, well, that room's out. We cut out 1,000 square feet.
Yeah, yeah.
So we went from, 1.2 million down into the 700s,
Okay.
to build the house.
Yeah.
So that's how we were able to get it done.
Okay.
Also, I joke with my friends, and my friends joke that it's the house that Craigslist built and Facebook Marketplace built, because I bought a lot of stuff on Facebook and Craigslist.
And what do you mean exactly did you buy on there? Did
Tile.
you buy? Okay.
Yeah, I bought tons and tons and tons of tile
Okay.
on there because people buy tile and they overbuy.
Yeah.
And tile's expensive. You can pay $20 for a good tile
Per
20
square foot.
Per square foot.
Holy cow.
In a house, you might need 2,000 square feet of tile. You're talking about 30 grand.
Yeah. Okay.
I probably spent $3,000 on all my tile.
Wow.
All of it.
Yeah.
All of it. I'm talking about laundry, kitchen, 3 bathrooms, walls, backsplashes,
Yeah.
everything.
Okay.
So, I needed to find ways to save big chunks of money, and that was one of them. The roof, the bid was $70,000,
Okay.
labor and install. I found out the materials were only about 20,
Okay.
so I saved about 50 grand there in doing the roof myself. It did take me 3 months, and was really hard to do.
So
but
for a metal roof, are you buying like pieces and
Yeah.
getting a crane, or do they prefab everything on the ground and then like lift it up?
you're
or-
buying sheets 18 inches wide, about whatever length your roof is.
Okay.
And that's not the hard part. Laying the sheets is the easy part. It's all of these trims and pieces that go around.
Yeah, the unique parts.
That is many hours of YouTubing.
Okay.
Luckily, there's a lot of really good people that have spent a lot of time making really detailed YouTube videos.
Yeah.
And that's it. And just trial and error.
And if you're handy, you can kind of see,
Yeah.
take their lead
Yeah.
and figure out
Yeah.
what they're
And I didn't do
doing.
this by myself by any means. The
Okay.
people I ended up, my framers,
Yep.
this is another important piece of advice for anybody that's trying to be your own owner builder. Your framers are going to be one of the first people that come in, besides your cement people.
Yeah.
I asked those two trades, who would you recommend for framing? My cement people, foundation people, referred me to my framers.
Okay.
My framers referred me to my drywallers and stucco people.
Gotcha.
They referred me, so they all work with other people.
Right.
And not only did they help me and refer me to each, but they gave me the best prices I got.
Yeah.
Because I don't know why. They don't advertise. None of these guys, there's no website, there's no advertising. Sometimes they don't even have a company name.
Yeah, but they're just good at what they do.
They just
and
do it.
That's how they get more business.
And they work for the contractors.
Yeah.
So contractors are worth their weight in gold because I had a million questions, a million things I didn't know how to answer. There was a lot of time I had to spend asking and figuring things out, and it did cost myself a fair amount of money
Okay.
by doing things wrong, having to redo some things. But these framers, I mentioned the framers because they ended up helping me with the roof.
Okay. Putting it up. And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you could hire them back for the day or for
Yep.
the project.
Exactly right. Hire them for the day.
Okay.
They ended up helping. They continued to work on the project till it was done, which is
nice.
it's not 100% done, but it's
Okay.
99.9% done.
Okay.
The framers, helped me with flooring,
Uh-huh.
which obviously they wouldn't normally do. They referred me to the installation people. They referred me to everybody.
Okay.
And they helped me with a lot. They helped me a ton with the roof at a daily rate.
Which is way better than
Yeah, which is $200 to $300 a day per
Yeah.
person.
yeah.
I needed 1 or 2 people to help with the roof per day.
Yeah.
You're talking about $600 a day, maybe over the course of a week, maybe $1,000, $2,000.
Yeah.
But it's at the end, the savings is tremendous.
Cheaper than $70,000 if you're
Yeah.
buying the $30,000
Yeah.
of the material
Yeah.
and then paying those guys.
The downside is it took me 3 or 4 months to do the roof. It was painstaking. I still have injuries from doing it,
Oh wow.
not from falling, but just from repetitive motion, from carrying. Just
It took a
it's-
toll.
It took a toll. It's
Yeah.
odd, but it took a toll.
Yeah.
And not only that, but I did other things also. Did other stuff to save money.
Yeah.
And it took a toll. I don't know how they do it.
Yeah.
I don't know how they do it day in, day out.
It's tough.
It's, I think, almost impossible. So I don't know how they do it.
Okay.
Yeah. Contractors themselves, when I told them what I wanted to do, told me not to do it. Like, don't do it.
Hire someone.
No, don't do the whole thing.
Oh, yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. Just
Yeah.
go buy a house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that would be the easier thing
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah.
So, but everything that you saw on the market,
Just
you're
wasn't
like,
fitting.
just,
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Yeah. So we kind of went down this path and it worked out. But the framers referred me one to the next, one to the next, one to the next. And that was another thing I didn't expect to happen. I had gotten a lot of these bids already. Like I mentioned, 10, 12 bids in advance, a
Yeah.
year in advance.
Mm-hmm.
So I already had them in my pocket. And when I talked to my framers, they're like, yeah, call this person, call that person. Okay, great. Call
Now
them.
you have a point of reference.
Yes. And they were
The clear.
clearly much, much cheaper. When I spoke to them, they knew exactly what they were doing.
Perfect.
They were fast. They were efficient. They were the people that work a lot of times in tract homes.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
They come in, knock it out.
Yeah.
And the nice thing is that they liked working on a non-track home.
Yeah. Because there's
They're-
more character, I guess. to it.
Yes.
There's not.
Yeah.
They're not bored, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's not the same. They're building a house the same way. And
Yeah.
So, and they would ask me all the time, is this for you or you're selling it? I
Yeah.
go, no, it's for me. Oh, okay.
We'll take care of you.
We'll do a good job.
Oh,
I
that's
was
so
like,
cool.
what do you mean?
Yeah.
What
I
would you
mean-
do otherwise?
Yeah. I mean, we get the horror stories, right? They
Yes.
just throw them together,
Yeah.
right? There's no love, there's no care. You
Yeah.
know, they're trashing the walls,
Yep.
literally like
Yep.
soda cans in between the drywall and
I
the.
did find a couple beer bottles.
Yeah. See, that's just part of it.
Yeah.
You know.
But they literally were like, it's for you. And I had my family there. We moved there with our RV eventually. So I'd have my kids out. I'd have my kids talking to them. One thing I noticed, and this is unfortunate, I just want to mention, but I'm, Latin American. All these people are mostly Mexican, Latin,
Uh huh.
and people tend to just walk by Latin workers,
Yeah.
laborers,
Right.
So I told my wife, and she's Caucasian, and my kids, are not, but they look white. I said, if you, I said, stop and say hi to all these guys, learn their names.
Yes.
I said, address them by their name when
Yes.
you see them. Say good morning, say good afternoon. These people are building our home.
Yeah.
And I think that made a big difference. And you just don't realize it,
Yeah.
and sometimes they would hire someone that I didn't know, and I'd walk right by them. Like they brought in some random person to help them for the day.
Hmm.
I just walk right by them and I go, okay, hey, I'm Edwin. They weren't even used to people introducing themselves to them.
Yeah.
I'd have lunch with them since I was living there in their RV. I speak Spanish also, so that was a huge, huge advantage.
Right.
I will admit that. They all spoke Spanish. I'd come out and had lunch with them. At first, it was a little weird for them because
Yeah.
it doesn't happen. But then eventually, I got a lot of good insight, a lot of little things they would chat about. They talk about other projects, and that's where a lot of the referrals came from.
Okay.
So I don't know if most people can do this whole side of it, but
Yeah.
if you're just very kind to them, I kept waters and Gatorades. I bought them lunch a lot. I didn't do anything else special beyond that.
Still, that's huge though.
Yeah. But I just really spoke to them like they were my family.
Right.
They were building my house like it was important to me.
Yeah.
And I made sure my kids and my wife, and they did, they were just like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause you just will walk right by them, and it was just a little weird.
That's such a good life lesson to
Yeah.
instill into your kids. Like, you got to treat the dishwasher the same
Yeah.
way you treat the CEO.
Yeah.
The guy who's opening the door at the hotel and the owner of the hotel
Yeah.
deserve the same amount of respect.
Yep.
Right. And
Yep.
that's everybody in the world should have that same
Yep.
amount of respect.
Eventually, my framer, his name is Iraq, odd name, but his name is Iraq for a Mexican guy. He was negotiating on my behalf with people. Hey, give this good guy, give him a good rate.
Yeah.
Give him oh really? Yeah, give him a good rate. Okay.
That's so important. It's
Yeah.
it's who you know in this
Yeah.
world more than what you know.
Yep.
Right? Because
Yep.
like you said, if you're getting bids that are almost double,
Yeah.
that tells you that there is wiggle room if you're a good person or if you're
Yeah.
in the know.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. So that went a long way. We kind of got sidetracked from where we started.
No,
but
that's okay.
yeah.
We can bring it back to you got your framing done, your insulation done, you did your roof yourself, which you don't recommend anybody do.
no.
At this point, you have water and do you have natural gas to the house?
No natural gas. We tried,
You're on a
but
propane tank.
to extend the line, they wanted a huge amount of money, and we
Okay.
couldn't get it. And we didn't do propane. We went all electric.
Oh, okay. All electric for the house. So
Yeah.
electric heater, electric stoves,
Mhm.
electric water heater.
I think that might end up being a mistake. Everyone told me it was a mistake. I like the idea of going all electric,
Yeah.
but I think it's a mistake probably.
So now let me ask you this: do you have a solar farm or solar panels to help offset
Yeah.
all the electrical products you have now?
We're required, all homes as of I think 2020 are
2020,
required,
2021,
something
somewhere
like
around
that.
there.
Yeah. All new construction is required to have solar panels,
6 panels or a specific kilowatt?
specific kilowatt.
Okay.
I don't even
interesting.
remember how they calculated that, but for me it was 2.7 kilowatts,
Okay.
which is very, very low.
Yeah, which isn't a big system.
No, not at
Yeah.
all. I only have 6 panels.
Okay.
It was all tied into the efficiency of the house, Title 24 regulations, how efficient your windows are, how
Yes.
deep your walls are, type of insulation. That's one thing I didn't want to skimp on also. I wanted 2x6 walls
Yep.
so I could have deeper, good insulation,
Right.
which doesn't seem like a big deal, but a lot of homes are built in 2x4,
Yeah.
and you can only get so much efficiency out of them.
No, it is good
Yeah.
because then your house stays cool when it's
Yeah.
cold and
Yep.
helps insulate
And
it
I
from
think
the
that's why
materials.
they didn't require me to have such a big solar system.
Because it was so well insulated.
I think so.
Interesting.
Yeah, I have insulation in the roof side and in the like the whole attic is insulated in every direction.
Okay.
All the walls, and actually even some interior walls are insulated.
And this is the light like foam stuff, or was it the foam that
I wanted the foam.
expands?
I wanted the foam.
This is like feathery, like the.
This is your normal fiberglass insulation,
Okay.
which is the last thing I wanted.
Okay,
with
but it's
fiberglass.
cheaper.
It's the
Or-
less expensive option,
Okay.
and it's what here and in the area everyone works with. I wanted rock wool.
Okay.
Rock wool looks exactly the same, but it's made out of like recycled jeans and recycled wool products. And I wanted that. It's only a little bit more expensive, but the guys didn't want to use it. They didn't want to work with it.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know why.
I mean,
I
yeah,
think they buy a lot of fiberglass insulation, and that's what they wanted to do. And at this point in time, I was like, whatever
Let's
you
go.
say, just do it. Just
Yeah.
do it. Just do it. Just do it. Yeah.
Okay.
Because it did look like the house was, going to be complete soon because framing's done, and
Yeah.
we need to do insulation before you do drywall. But I wanted spray foam,
Okay.
and it was going to be too much.
Okay.
Yeah, so that went out, unfortunately. But I did get the 2x6 walls, and I got a good R value there, and the house stays very cool.
Good.
Yeah, just awesome.
Yeah. But were you able to orient your house like, oh, the sun's gonna rise over here and set
Yes.
over here? So he
Yes,
said
and-
your house has to go here.
Yeah.
But were you able to?
We
turn
were.
it? Okay.
Yeah,
Good.
Exactly right. The sun rises and sets, and it goes right over the entire house.
So do you have shade in the backyard in the afternoon, or shade?
Our backyard ended up being our front yard. It's an odd,
Okay.
the houses in Sand Canyon are kind of, some of them are situated this way.
Yeah.
So
Not a tract home, so you can have the
yeah,
freedom to have doors
yeah.
and stuff
It's
wherever.
it's almost 3 acres, so the house is situated a little oddly,
Okay.
but it ended up being perfect for the way the sun goes. And we ended up putting our panels on the garage. I didn't want more holes and issues on the roof side, so we put
Yeah.
all the panels on the garage,
And the
which
garage
is
is
detached.
separate from the house.
Yeah,
Okay.
10 feet apart.
Do you plan on doing more solar panels, like so
Yes.
maybe in one day you can offset your full electric bill?
For sure.
Yeah,
For sure.
that would be cool.
Yes. But when you're spending so much money building a house,
Do it later.
I was very happy to put in the minimal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because those systems are already there, right? Like
Yeah.
putting the whole electrical system together and putting the panels on with
Yeah.
the inverter, then adding on to that in the future seems like it'd be, like you
Yeah.
said, a lot cheaper.
Yep.
So
The
okay.
downside of all electrical is you need a lot of 220 electricity and a lot of for all the 220 appliances. We have a double oven,
Yeah,
two
the
220s, the
heater
cooktop.
too.
There's 220 all over the place.
Yeah.
We also don't have a conventional forced air heating and cooling system.
Okay, tell me about that.
We have mini splits.
Got it. In
Yeah.
most rooms or all the rooms?
All the bedrooms have a mini split.
Okay,
The living room has 2 mini splits.
okay,
The master bathroom has 1 mini split.
okay.
So I have.
So you have like 6 or 8 little compressors on your
Yes.
side yard.
Mhm.
Okay.
One of them is a combined. One of them handles 3 units, but I do have 5 small little units outside.
Okay. That seems efficient though.
It is extremely efficient. You're not pushing cold or hot air through these vents that have to travel across your whole home.
Right.
They get a lot cooler or a lot warmer as they travel. Plus, I didn't have to install any of that.
Yeah.
So
the
again,
vents.
saving money,
Yeah.
half the cost.
Wow.
Half the cost of a vented forced air system
Yeah.
and a lot more efficiency.
Yeah.
So it was a way upside. Downside, yes, I do have these cartridges on my walls,
Yeah.
where the air comes out through, like you see at a hotel.
Yeah. Yeah.
And on the outside, I have 5 little units.
Yeah.
I don't love it. Put up some landscaping, we'll be able to hide them. Luckily, I have some space, so it's okay. If you're in more of an tract home situation, I don't know if it's going to work out
Right.
that way, but I could have done just 2 units. I could have done 2 that would have handled 7.
Okay.
They do have mini split condensers that handle multiple
Lines.
head units.
Okay.
For some reason, my guy just said that wasn't a great way to go and get them all individual. And again, I was like, okay.
Take your recommendation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the price came in at half the cost of a forced air system.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, whatever we need to do, we're going to do that.
Because doing ductwork is so expensive in a regular
Yeah.
house. Like
And the
you know,
cost.
yeah.
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 When people redo their ductwork, their heater, and their AC,
Yep.
I mean, it's a $30,000 job.
Yep.
But I can't imagine actually running all the
Oh,
stuff.
yeah. A lot of labor involved there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, local, I used a guy, Mark Wilmers, he literally a Yelp. My guys didn't refer me to anybody to do that. It was just a Yelp contact.
Okay.
I also ended up finding a few people in the area that were developing homes, and we got chatted and stayed in communication and referred some people back and forth.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but he was great, and then it was installed very quickly also
Okay.
because there's no ducting. A lot of the systems were plug and play. I considered doing it myself,
Okay.
but at this point I was deep into the construction. I was overwhelmed and swamped
Uh
with everything,
Yeah.
life and building, and there's no way. I was still doing the roof.
huh.
So so I was happy to give that to a company to handle. the
And
operation.
walk me through the windows that you got, because you were
Mhm.
mentioning that you were getting quotes for windows
Mhm.
and they were crazy prices.
Yes.
And now you're trying to save money even more because you're
Yep.
kind of down to the wire.
Yep.
You're, I wouldn't say over budget, but you're more than what you wanted to spend.
Yeah.
So you went straight to a website called madeinchina.com, which doesn't sound sketchy
Sounds
at all.
fake.
Yeah. And then you wire this company money
Yeah.
for the product, and then they agree to ship it to you,
Correct.
which sounds
All
like
in one day.
which
No.
sounds like a scary
Yeah.
way to go about it. But
Yeah.
you did your research on these companies
I
through
did. Yeah.
forums and stuff. I
Yeah.
mean, you're not really picking up the phone and calling some Chinese company.
No.
It's all kind of like, okay,
Yeah.
this seems like it's vetted.
Yeah.
And then you were able to save a huge amount of money on
A
the
huge amount of money.
on the windows and doors. What about
Huge.
cabinets? Did you do that too?
Cabinets, I went with I didn't want to buy direct from China,
Mhm.
it's just, but everything kind of comes from China anyway.
Certainly, yeah.
So I ended up doing that with the windows. Yeah. Made in China is the site. It's similar to Alibaba
Got it.
where.
Like an
where-
eBay style marketplace.
Yes. Where you can just source things, but you're sourcing the vendor.
Right.
And I think I hit like maybe 6 of them. And then this one started to stand out right away.
Okay.
They wanted to talk
Okay.
on the phone. They called, I'm like, let's just do this by email.
Yeah.
I was still vetting them. And then they were in the US. They had come to the US for trade shows.
Okay.
So I thought, okay, like the Nevada show, the home IBS, International Building Show, IBS, I think.
Yeah.
They were there for that. I thought, okay, these guys are legitimate. And they invited me to come visit their booth and be there. So I thought, okay,
Good feeling.
yes.
Yeah, warm
And then I
fuzzies.
found randomly as I was doing my Craigslist and Facebook market searches, I found a guy that actually was selling some windows in San Diego and a big bifold door that didn't end up fitting for my home, but that bought them from this company
Interesting.
called Dorwin.
Okay.
Made in China just referred me basically to Dorwin, the manufacturer of these products. And I drove down San Diego, and this guy was building $2-3 million spec homes in La Jolla, and
Wow.
yeah, beautiful homes, huge windows, full glass walls. And I saw how they worked, and he's I've ordered from them 4 times. Here's the windows. We didn't use these for whatever reason. That happens. I have extra windows also.
Okay.
Yeah, and I got more confidence in the company. And then yeah, at some point, I had to wire them. So I ended up getting that giant 18-foot bifolding door, which was
Yeah.
quoted $30,000 or $40,000 here. I got it direct from there, and it was $8,000.
Wow, that's awesome.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
My 2 front doors this is triple pane, by the way. Triple pane, 8-foot tall, 18-foot wide,
Wow.
fully
Serious
opening.
windows.
Yeah, German hardware. Like, it's a high quality door
Yeah.
and window, and a fraction. So yeah, this is what enabled us to finish the project. Our front doors also were quoted here for about $7,000 or $8,000 each door. I happen to have 2 front doors, oddly enough,
Okay.
and those also were about $2,000 direct. My garage doors were also direct from China. That was a little sketchy, only because they're not used to dealing with garage doors, but we can do it. And I said, okay. So I took a risk on that. And the garage doors here, I was quoted around $6,000. These are big 10-foot doors, 8 feet wide.
The big panels that roll up,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
I wanted to do the nice glass ones,
Uh-huh.
which they do also, but those were expensive even for China prices.
Wow.
Those were too much. Those were about 10 grand here, and for there, they're about 4 grand each
Okay.
from China. I was also sourcing a lot of this stuff during the worst of the chain supply issues after
Yeah.
COVID, so that might have changed things to now. But yeah, so about my garage doors through them. The installer of the garage door had a very hard time installing them, but eventually he figured it out.
Okay.
And it probably cost me another $1,000 to just have them installed.
Okay.
These are 10 feet wide, 10 foot tall.
And do you have any like smart home features? Like, because you don't have your central air, so there's no Nest. Did you have did you
Another
hardwire
thing we
internet
couldn't.
modems and stuff for around the house? 'Cause we
I
see
wanted
new-
to, yeah, and that stuff I did myself. A lot of reading. People were like, "Yeah, run coax and run Ethernet." I'm like, "Coax? Like, who uses coax?" Like,
Yeah.
I haven't had cable in forever, and I've never had DirecTV. I'm
Yeah.
a big sports guy, so I didn't need it, and I don't even know if you need DirecTV for sports. But so I did end up running a lot of Ethernet, a lot
Gotcha.
of Cat 6
Mm-hmm.
cable, which looks the same as Cat 5, but it's Cat 6 cable. I ran it for cameras,
Okay.
which you can do wireless cameras now. And my friends all said they were great, no problems. But just reading enough online, it seemed like might as well do it.
Have them wired in.
Yeah, I wired them in, and I
For
could get
sure.
a high quality camera and better image. So when the house was open,
Mm-hmm.
I drilled my own holes and I ran Ethernet cable. I bought a box of 2,000 feet.
Okay.
It's $80 on Amazon.
Nice.
High quality, good cable, and I ran all the runs. I ran every corner of the house, every corner of the garage to put cameras around the entire property.
Yep.
The living room, the master bedroom for TVs. I ran into my office where I just wanted to be hardwired instead
Yeah.
of and then I ran a couple hubs in the house to put like mesh
Yep.
routers and stuff like that.
Cool.
Yeah, and that worked out well. I didn't do anything else that's smart. I bought a bunch of Alexa, what do you call them?
Dots or echoes.
Dots and
or-
all those things,
Yeah.
and they're not working so great.
You
I
know,
don't know.
music in rooms.
Yeah,
The only thing I use mine for is to set a timer.
yeah,
If I'm too lazy to pull out my phone when I'm boiling pasta or something, or throwing something in the oven,
yeah,
I'll just yell at her.
yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
The kids like them. They do jokes and whatever. and
Yeah.
it's, we just got them put in like 3 weeks ago. We just put them in.
Okay.
We just got internet finally.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so we then set up those devices, and yeah, I don't know if I would do anything differently with that. If I could, I would set up more smart stuff.
Automation kind of stuff.
Yeah, you can do a lot through Alexa. I did do a lot of smart switches.
Okay, so Lutron lights or
I
different
did
company?
Casa,
Casa?
K-A-S-A,
Yep.
because they're part of they're owned by TP-Link, and TP-Link is what I'm going to use for my internet and
Okay.
mesh system.
If it all works well, then why not? Yeah.
There was weeks and weeks of researching. Finally, I said, I'm just buying this,
Yeah.
and it was Amazon Day, and I just bought it and was done with it. It was
Okay.
all my camera system, everything networking, all that stuff is TP-Link,
Gotcha.
but it could go a lot of different ways. So Casa switches, but those are really cool. Those are very, very cool. I ended up putting them almost in every switch, and they're expensive.
Yeah.
But I mean,
$100 for the switch on the wall. Pretty
yeah,
much,
you
right?
can buy them in sets, and I did buy them on Amazon Prime Day also, so I
Okay.
got a pretty good discount. But
And what's so smart about them? Like when you walk in the room, do the lights turn on, and when you leave, they turn off, or are
that
they?
would be nice. I wanted to do that,
censored
but you
ones?
can't do that because of the lights would come on during the day,
Ah,
which is silly.
yeah.
But I thought I would just do that in the bathroom, stuff like that. But it's not allowed. They won't. I won't pass final inspection.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I can redo some of this stuff after. But
Yeah.
you schedule it. So all my exterior lights will come on at 6:30 p.m. They go off at 4 a.m. whatever time you want.
Yeah.
That's the main thing.
Okay.
Is scheduling them. If you're away on vacation, you can schedule them, turn on and off at different times.
Yeah.
Your kids are going to leave your lights on all the time. You can just turn them off from your cell phone.
Yep.
That's a big thing. And I bought the dimmer smart switches are a little more expensive, but
Mhm.
I just put them in everywhere.
Yeah.
I put them in everywhere. 2-way, 3-ways are more expensive. I put them in every outlet.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about your living room? Did you do like home audio? Did you use speakers in the ceiling while you were doing
I
it? or-
almost did, and in the end, I didn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know that's an option when people
Yeah.
buy new construction.
Eventually, I was sold on the idea after reading and reading and reading that your audio shouldn't come from like here. It should come from where the TV is.
Yep.
And then the Alexas and the Bluetooth sound systems are so good
Yeah.
that I thought I'm just going to go with that.
Okay.
And, the tech will evolve, and
Yeah.
I almost did a system, and I almost put a speaker in every room.
Yeah.
Instead, we have Alexas in every room,
Same thing.
Echo Dots, all
Yeah.
those things in every room. So yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So what's the outside of your house look like now? Do you have any hardscape? Did you do like pavers, or just when they poured the foundation, they poured the pad for the garage as well? Did you do a
Yes.
long driveway all the way out to the street?
That's what I thought would happen.
How far away is the
Uh,
street from your actual driveway in your house?
Our driveway would end up being like maybe 100 feet.
Okay.
Yeah. And so the short answer is nothing. It's all dirt.
Okay.
Yeah. I thought they would pour some of that stuff, like the
whatever's-
little walkways and things.
Whatever's left over.
Yeah.
Empty out the truck.
But all of them said no. It's going to get damaged. It's going to get ruined.
Oh,
like, It's
interesting.
going to get chipped. So
Okay.
we do that later.
Sure.
Okay.
They know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then later came like a month ago.
Okay.
So when that came around, I don't have a landscaping plan.
Gotcha.
So I ended up hiring a landscape architect to help me with that. It's a big property. I have no idea where to go with that stuff.
Yeah.
So he's going to help me design where the walkways are and where the paths are. So right now it's all dirt,
Okay.
which I need to get that taken care of before it rains.
Okay.
Rain is going to just dirty the stucco and stain it apparently.
It does stain it. Yeah.
Yeah.
We notice that in new construction communities, like
Yeah.
especially if it's like clay.
Yes.
Then it hits the ground, it splashes, and then
Yeah.
they got to pressure
I didn't
wash
know it
it.
would stain, but yeah, apparently it's
You
a
have
problem.
rain gutters on your house?
Yes, I did those myself also.
Okay.
Yeah, those came as a part of the roof.
Some of those are actually considered an option or an upgrade
Yes.
in new construction, which
Really?
is strange.
It is
You're
strange.
buying $1 million house, you can't
Yeah.
get rain gutters
It is
from the
odd.
builder. But
Yeah.
hey, they want to charge you for everything.
The rain gutters is not the hard part. Like where the water goes from there is the hard part.
Yeah.
Most people can just funnel it out to the street, which is great, and we didn't have that option. So
Yeah.
I did a lot of trenching and figure out where to go with the water. But that's
Okay.
what the grading plan was for.
Gotcha.
Yeah, kind of tell you where the water goes. Yeah.
So
But now we have gutters, but now we're in this like 99.9% phase where we're almost done, and it's like closet doors, like closet systems.
yeah.
Little like the pantry. We have a pantry, a little tiny pantry, like a reach-in pantry.
Okay.
Shelving in there. This stuff I'm doing myself also to save a few bucks.
Yeah. If you're super handy, you can put
Yeah.
shelves up in your closet, right?
Yeah,
Instead
yeah.
of go to Closet World and have them
Yeah.
just a couple thousand a closet.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So I'm doing all those types of things. The garage, another big way that I was able to save probably 20 or 30 grand is by not doing a traditional stick-built and stucco garage.
Okay.
A stick-built stucco garage, 3-car, is going to cost you around 70, maybe upwards of 100 if you want like the inside finished, and
Wow.
depending on what it looks like, I guess.
Yeah.
My estimates and quotes were around 70. So I ended up buying a metal building.
Nice.
A prefab metal building. And there's tons and tons and tons of them, manufacturers and resellers of them.
Gotcha.
I ended up going to the manufacturer directly, which is eventually where I got my roofing panels also, because it's all metal.
Mm-hmm.
The garage is all metal also, but the walls are metal.
Gotcha.
The whole thing is metal, which I thought, again, was great for a fire zone.
Yeah.
And that came out, the garage structure itself, to purchase it, came out to $32,000. Taxes included, everything.
Perfect.
Yes. And then my framers helped me put it in. So maybe another $5,000 to $7,000 in erecting that structure,
Yeah.
which was, and I did a lot of the work. It was a lot of work.
Okay.
The framers complained about it constantly. Said if this was stick, we would have it done in a week.
Yeah.
It took us about a month and a half.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But it saved 20, 30.
Okay. So at this point, you have all of your own money with whatever personal loans you get from
Yeah.
your family or your friends. So now the house is completely built. It's 99% finished. Are you gonna get insurance on this home and
Yeah.
then refinance it and then pay everybody back at the end and carry a
Yes.
small note?
Yeah, I have the land loan. Yes, that's the plan. Yeah,
Okay.
to get it refinanced. The land loan is still there. I can roll that in. By the way, I did buy insurance also. I bought construction insurance.
As you're building.
Yes.
Okay.
Which they didn't want to give me because I was owner builder. There's a lot of challenges when you're owner builder, and that's one of them. They didn't want to give me insurance because I wasn't owner builder. But I
Wow.
found a company that would do it. It was a little more, but
Okay.
yeah, because the whole thing could have caught on fire.
Caught on fire. Also, you're insuring your guys that are there, your
Yep.
your
Yep.
your workers, right?
Yep.
If they get hurt, so liability.
Exactly. Yep.
Any theft on that too, right? If you-
Yeah.
equipment.
Yes. I bought
yeah.
a separate theft policy. It wasn't included in that one, but I had a few policies altogether. It wasn't much at all.
So
It
we've
was
we've heard
maybe-
about stuff like
Yeah.
that. I mean, when they're setting up new construction communities in town,
Oh, it's
there's
theft.
just
It's-
pallets of solar
yeah.
panels just sitting, right?
Yep.
And like they'll just come in and they'll just take wires and plumbing and fixtures and whatever overnight.
Yeah, we got very lucky, really lucky.
Yeah,
we
you're
didn't
in
have
a
any-
good spot. Yeah, you're kind
Yeah.
of tucked away down a long driveway,
yes,
right?
yes. But
Yeah.
all the guys initially they pack up all their gear, they take it home. I bought two 40-foot containers with
Like shipping
locks.
containers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cargo containers where they could keep their tools and stuff. And after maybe like a month, they started keeping their stuff there.
Okay.
And after the second or third month, they just left their stuff outside. They wouldn't even put it away because we got lucky. We didn't have any problems. But at any point in time,
Yeah.
anybody could have just walked down from Placerita and grabbed anything,
Yeah.
or driven down there and been gone. But eventually I did move my RV there.
Okay.
So there was a little more security since I was staying there. But yeah, we got very lucky without any theft. But there's a lot of horror stories about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
Mhm.
So I guess knowing all this and actually going through the whole process start to finish.
Yeah.
Would you encourage anyone to do this themselves, or would you just encourage them, hey, just go find something that
Yeah.
needs a little bit of work, or if you're going to do this, hey, at least now you know what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah. There's one whole chunk we didn't talk about at all, and there are all these fees that I didn't know I was going to have to pay.
Oh yeah, with the
Yeah,
city of
there
Santa
were
Clarita,
about somewhere around $90,000 worth of fees.
$90,000 worth of fees paid to the city of Santa Clarita.
Yeah.
Okay, so
So these are park fees.
yes,
Like Santa Clarita is beautiful. I love it,
hmm
and there are the most amazing parks, and they're clean.
yes,
You pay for it. You pay for it
Correct.
in your taxes every year.
yeah,
When you build brand new from the ground up, you pay for it as a developer.
gotcha.
And I'm like, hey, I'm not a developer. This is just for my family. I'm only doing this once. That's it. They're like, same fee.
Yep.
Sorry. The park fee was, I think, $18,000.
Okay.
I almost canceled the whole project.
Well, they came and said, hey, you're gonna need to write us
Yeah.
a check.
Well, city planning,
hmm
the very early phases, they give you this long list of all these people: trash,
Water, vet,
Water, yes.
fire.
fire department was another whole thing.
Yeah.
We could spend hours on them, but yeah. And one of the things was roads, trash, the parks fee, and the school fees.
Yes.
Separate school fees, elementary and high school fees for all the districts in your
Yeah.
area. These fees, I didn't know they existed.
So
There was a lapse in my research,
yeah.
and shocker, I almost canceled the whole project because this was another close to $100,000 I didn't expect.
Yeah.
So that's when I started going to family money and trying to figure things out and see if we can actually do this thing.
Yeah.
But that's important people to know. So if you can buy a house that you're going to knock down and then rebuild, you avoid all those.
Interesting. So that's
If
why
you
they
can
leave
keep up a
one
s-
wall.
yes,
Yeah.
that's why they do
We've
that.
seen that.
Yes. So
They
if you can
literally
do
leave
that,
they just leave the
Yes.
wall between the garage and the house.
yes.
And they rebuild everything else.
everything else. Do that if you
Instead.
can.
Okay.
Yes.
It's
Other
cheaper.
thing, if you can find a plot of land that already has water,
Mm-hmm.
water has a whole separate fee just to sign a water contract. Just to say, yes, we can get you water and we can put a 1 inch or 1.5 inch meter on your property. Nothing else. They're not connecting anything. They're just giving you the ability to have water. Was I think $28,000.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So there's these big chunks of money that I didn't expect, and people should be aware.
Learned along the way.
Yes. Yeah. So if you can find a property that has power on it already, like just a power pole sitting there,
Mhm.
whatever, or a water. If you drive up to a property and you see on the ground there's a little
The-
water thing,
Yeah.
that has a lot of value.
Gotcha.
If you wonder why that property is selling for $300,000 and that one's only for $100, that's why.
That's probably why.
Yes.
Okay.
There's a lot of value there. And at some point, at different points in time, we did consider selling and bailing out on this whole thing.
Wow.
And the property did have more value. We could have, there was value in that,
Okay.
in what we had built at that point. So yes, I would do it again.
Okay.
I would do it again.
But now you know all these things, so
Yeah.
you'll plan accordingly.
I got lucky.
Yeah.
My civil engineer was a great lucky find, local guy. He referred me to a lot of the people I eventually used. JT Engineering. I tell them anybody who needs any kind of service related to engineering, civil, grading, contact them.
Perfect.
Yeah, they're unbelievable. They're local. They're great guys. And if it wasn't for them, I would not probably have been able to do the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, not
That's
just for the
crazy.
engineering side, but the actual construction. They're the one that ended up helping me with that chain of events that I went from one to the next to the next to the next,
Yeah.
and they helped me along the whole way. I would do it again. I don't. I hate to say this, but if you're not handy, I don't know if you could be your own owner builder.
Right.
There's
Yeah.
so many things that I could see. I'm like, hey, isn't that or isn't that? I caught things.
Yeah.
Just because I'd known, I had put up dividing walls before. Like I had built a framed 2x4 wall before.
Yeah.
If you don't have that, I don't know. I don't know
Get
how
a
it's gonna-
contractor then.
maybe get a contractor.
Yeah.
I don't know
And
how
that's
it's
going to drive the price up even more.
Yes.
Okay.
yes.
So, big question, start to finish, is the money that is your house that you built worth more than the money you spent on your house?
A lot more. Yeah.
Perfect. So
Mhm.
that's great for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. We ended up somewhere around $225 a square foot.
Okay.
Maybe even 215 to somewhere in that range.
Okay.
I don't know 100% yet. Not everything's done. Also, none of my landscaping is done.
Sure.
There's all dirt. But sometimes you buy a track home and you get all dirt, and you got to
Yeah.
spend it after. It's an upgrade.
Yeah.
Um,
Sand Canyon's selling for $600 a square foot at some houses.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
yeah, so I ended up somewhere in that range, including the fees we talked about. So that's on the very low end.
Yeah.
I don't think it's possible to get into the 200 range, like or below 200, unless you are a contractor yourself.
Yeah. Super streamlined,
Yes.
everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
And another thing I do need to say is you have to beware, and everyone probably knows this, of contractors that are, just different. Got to look at the reviews, look at all that stuff,
Yeah.
like vet them very well. One of the first 3 people that came to bid on the property were contractors. All 3 of them were resellers of contracts,
Interesting.
and I learned this later. And the quotes were 1.3, 1.7. 1.5
Okay.
to build a house. They were like, yeah, look at these houses. You're going to be able to sell this house for $2 million. And I was looking around. I go, well, I'm only building a 2,500 square foot house. I
Yeah.
said, these are 5,000. All the houses around there are 5,000 to 8,000 square feet.
Yeah.
They are resellers. They get you to sign the contract, and then they resell that to a contractor, and then they make a few $100,000 in selling it. You never see that person again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it's
called assignable contracts. We have that in
assignable
real
contract.
estate too, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So let's say your grandma is going to be losing her house. I can go to your grandma and get her to sign an agreement to sell her house to
Mhm.
me for $500,000, knowing that I can sell it to an investor for
There you
$600,000,
go.
and I don't have to do any work whatsoever. You don't even need a real estate license to assign
No,
contracts.
It's a great business.
so
Great
those-
business model.
Yeah, those contractors, they might not even have been licensed.
No,
I don't even think you need to be licensed to get people to sign biddable contracts.
I don't think so either. Or they buy or rent a license.
Yeah,
They rent a license, and there's a lot of information on renting
yeah,
contractors' licenses online. If you just Google that,
yeah,
and you'll see what's up and
Man.
learn. I learned about this luckily at the right time.
right.
It was too much for me. I just didn't understand why the bids were coming in so high. That put me at like $450 a square foot,
Yeah,
or maybe even higher. I just didn't understand it. They came to the area and they saw it was there, and they just thought I had deep pockets maybe, and they
Yeah.
just threw it out there. And yeah, so be careful. And if I would have and that's what you find when you Yelp and Google.
yeah,
You find
Reviews.
beautiful websites,
yeah,
and these well-established people, they clearly did not know anything about construction. I asked them simple questions about 2x4 versus 2x6, or certain things about framing. Again, if you don't know these things, this is why I'm like, maybe just hire a contractor, but find an actual good contractor, not a reseller.
yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of things like that occurred along the way that I learned that I would pass along.
Okay.
And people drove by. A lot of people have asked, and I'm happy to help anybody that wants some input. My wife thinks I should do it for a living.
You consulting,
Like,
yeah.
yeah.
When my dad retired, we said,
Yeah.
dude, you should consult for projects because he's like you. He's real handy. He can walk around a job site and see, that doesn't
Yeah.
look really right. And you know what you ought to do? You ought to put, like you said, extra electrical or run some
Yeah.
Cat 6 cables.
Yeah.
So he's kind of got that construction mindset too.
Yeah.
And when he retired, he was kind of like twiddling his thumbs. He
Yeah.
was in charge of a big group of guys, and now he's sitting at home,
Yeah.
and his wife's telling him how to load the dishwasher.
Yeah, exactly.
And so
Yeah. And that
he,
might be enjoyable.
yeah.
Like consulting on it, as opposed to
Yeah.
like being the one to like get the guys to show up on time and schedule
Right.
and do all that stuff. Yeah.
But then he would go back into work mode and take over the responsibility and yell at the guys for not
Yeah.
showing up on time and things
Yep.
like that. So,
Yep.
But
So 100% do it again. You know, I would hire the great professional up front.
Mhm.
Also, I hired a kitchen designer.
oh,
You
cool.
know,
Yeah, I was going to talk
I hired a
interior
kitchen
design.
designer on Upwork.
Yes.
I don't know if you've heard of this website, Upwork. You can
Mhm.
hire people to do jobs. You can hire them abroad or U.S. based. Like
Yeah. Fiverr, things like that.
yes,
Yeah.
So I hired someone through there to do my kitchen design, and it was great. She did a pretty good job. She offered to do the bathrooms also. She could pick tiles. She could do all that stuff. We just hired her for the kitchen, and it was very affordable. I mean, it was I think $500.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, and now I hired a landscape architect. I see the value and the benefit of hiring these professionals now where I didn't early on.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I think that's another way to get this expertise, but not have to spend a ton on it, is to hire these designers to help with these pieces. The kitchen's important. It has to work well, it has to function well.
Yeah.
I tried designing it myself, and cabinet companies will design it for you,
Okay.
but they're trying to sell you cabinets.
At the same time.
Right. So, yeah, the designer will give you a plan, the size of every cabinet. You give that to your cabinet companies, and then you get bids.
Gotcha.
So that was huge to do
Okay.
that. Yeah. And I ended up buying RTA cabinets,
Which
Right.
are what?
ready to assemble,
Okay.
which might be more commonly known as like IKEA style.
Yeah.
Not from IKEA, they're just ready to assemble. If you look up RTA, you'll find tons and tons. You just save money because they're not assembling them. They ship them to you flat.
Gotcha.
And you build them. Of course, I built them myself, saved a little bit of money there.
But then you got to have that construction knowledge of
Yeah.
making sure they're all square and
Yes,
everything. And
yes.
my doors would be all
Right.
messed up, man.
Yeah, and then my framers helped me put together or help me install the cabinets.
Okay.
So again, like these people that are there, they're always looking for work,
Yeah.
or they know someone that's looking for work, so they helped me install them. I built them all myself. It only took me like one night. I think I pulled an all-nighter and I built them all in like 6-7 hours.
Okay.
And I ended up having like a really nice custom-looking kitchen that is RTA, that is
Yeah.
out of the box. So
So cool.
yeah, my appliances came from auctions.
Okay. Were they
So-
like a scratch in the corner
yeah,
or a dent?
exactly.
Yeah.
Mhm. I ended up buying like very high-end monogram Fisher Paykel, like very expensive brands that are, I mean, what you see at Pacific Sales,
Yeah.
beautiful, kitchen suites that cost $20,000-$30,000. All my appliances were around $6,000.
Okay. We
Yeah.
know Hollywood Bath in either I think Hollywood Bath is in
Yeah.
Burbank, but they have like a clearance section in their back.
Yep.
Where we got our vanity. It had a little chip in the corner,
Perfect.
and I'm like, we're gonna chip the corner,
Yeah.
so might as well throw it in with the
Yeah.
chip, you know?
Yeah.
So
Some of these items, I'm like, where is the chip? Like, where is
Yeah,
the damage?
yeah.
And somebody just didn't want it because the top was dinged, and
yeah,
there you go. And I'm talking like half price.
yeah.
You know,
for
when some of
a
these appli-
$20,000 stove.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, these little chunks of money is
Okay.
how we're able to, in the time of, chain supply issues and everything being so expensive, been able to finish the project at a reasonable price.
Yeah.
It didn't seem possible. I knew somehow I would get it done, because that's another thing. If you want to do this, you have to be extremely persistent.
Yeah.
The city is tough to deal with, as nice as they are. You just have to be persistent.
Yeah.
The fire department is tough to get through.
Right.
I went and eventually spoke to the fire chief in Palmdale
Okay.
to try to get certain things, approved. It didn't work, but I
Okay.
was extremely persistent and tried and tried and tried. And sometimes it did work. Some of these fees I got reduced just by asking.
Okay.
The park fees, the school fees. I said, hey, is there anything you can do? I'm just a one-man show here. I'm just a one-family house for my family. Like, I
Yeah.
went and spoke to them, shook their hand. A few people dropped the fees a little bit.
Cool.
Yeah. So
Because we know that when you buy a house in Santa Clarita, when you pull up the tax roll,
yeah.
you see the county property tax based on the assessed structure and land value. And then you have all the local special assessments
Yes.
that are to Santa Clarita specifically. So when a builder builds 100 homes in a tract, they have the option to pay for all that up front,
Mhm.
or they can pass that on to
Oh,
the
do they
new
really?
homeowners.
Yeah.
That's where you get your Melrose tax.
I see.
So
I didn't know that.
if you see a house that's advertised with no Melrose, that's because the builder already paid it off, and the house is likely going to cost a little bit more money
Right.
because he has an additional cost on his product,
Or you're paying it over time.
or you're paying it over time, and that's the homeowner. So as a builder, you can pass that cost off to the homeowner and charge a little bit less for your product, and maybe
Yeah.
even make a little bit more.
Yep.
So there's a couple neighborhoods in Santa Clarita that actually have 2 different Melroses,
Wow.
which are crazy.
Yes.
So we look at
Or like a homeowner. These are separate from homeowner dues, right?
completely separate, yeah.
Association.
Association dues would be maintaining like the common areas of a
Right,
complex. And if you don't have an HOA, and there's city contracted landscapers that are landscaping
Yes.
around,
Yes.
you'll see a landscape management district tax
Really?
on your tax roll. It's an
Yeah.
LMD tax.
Yes.
So I'm curious to see if you have an LMD tax. You probably don't down in San Canyon, or who knows, you might because you
Yeah.
have a home in Santa Clarita.
Maybe.
So they got to pay for those contractors somehow.
Yep. Every time we go to the park now with our kids, I'm like, I paid for a little piece of this.
Yeah, yeah.
Like honestly, like I came from the valley, and you see what the valley is like now. There's just a lot of homeless people. Like the park, you like go to the bathroom before we go to the park.
Yeah.
Heaven forbid you got to go to the bathroom when you're at the park with your kids because
You want
going to be
a
drug-
parent or
there's
two
gonna be a
in there.
Crack
Yeah.
addict in there. It's gonna
Yeah.
be bad, and it's almost unusable,
Yeah.
not safe. And then coming out here, it's like this is great.
Yeah.
It hurt to pay those fees. It still hurts. Like a
You're
lot.
not over it. Yeah, you didn't get over it.
No, but I
Yeah.
get it. Like I get where it's going.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful. And this is what we wanted: is to live in this kind of area and community and
So cool.
enjoy the parks. And yeah, I paid for a little piece of it. You're welcome.
Yeah. But it's just so cool that you had the persistence, like you said,
Yeah.
to start this project, have enough wherewithal to do some of it yourself,
Yeah.
and not bail out on the project,
Yeah.
and find out where you can realistically cut corners
Yeah.
to make your dreams come
Yeah.
through in a reality.
No vacations, no dinners, no eating out.
Yeah.
No
We're
nothing.
living out of an RV in your
Yes.
mom's driveway.
I mean,
the
we met because we
ultimate-
went camping together. Those were our vacations. We go
Yeah.
camping.
Yeah.
We took our RV camping. We're just going from home to home
Yeah.
in a different place.
You didn't have to pack up to
No.
leave, which is
You
nice.
call it camping. I
Yeah.
called it living.
Yeah.
Like it's just like where I'm living right now.
But it
Yeah.
was a normal,
Yeah.
as normal as you can be
Yeah.
for your family, right?
Yeah.
To get them out and about.
Family was great. My wife is, a lot of people say that people will get divorced during this kind of process. My wife's great. She's easy.
Yeah,
She's awesome.
she is.
Thank
for
you.
sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The kids are great. They're adaptable. A 3-year-old when we started, 6 now, and then
Yeah.
10-year-old we started, 13-year-old now, and they didn't love living in the RV, but
Maybe they gained a bit more perspective
Yeah.
than a kid who's always just
Yeah.
gone from home to home to home.
just like during
right?
COVID, we're all together all the time.
Yeah.
Has its challenges, but we're all together.
Yeah.
So it was neat,
Yeah.
and so there was some tough parts along the way, but yeah, the end result is worth it 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, I mentioned I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to finish it.
Right.
So the fact that I was able to finish it,
Is like,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Maybe that's where the divorce would have happened if you.
maybe, yes.
Now
for
we're
sure.
out of money and we
Yes.
don't have a place to live.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That would have been bad. And
But-
we have a container full of tile.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think your kids learned a valuable lesson throughout all this. I'm sure you learned a lot along the way. And I think it did maybe probably bring you guys closer
Yeah.
together as a family.
For sure.
Like you said, walking the job and making
Yeah.
sure your kids were introducing themselves to these contractors, teaching them, just real raw life lessons. I mean, your kids are very intelligent. They have
Thank you,
great
yeah.
people skills.
Yeah.
People skills.
Thank
So,
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're good kids. So that part was easy. They're very good kids. That
Yeah.
was easy. Yeah. Yeah. They don't complain much. They it was fun living in the RV in the beginning, and then eventually it wasn't as fun, but
Yeah.
we did it. It was good. But everything we needed,
Yeah.
no problem. So yeah.
So now what's next? You got landscaping will be another thing that's kind
Mhm.
of, either down the road or soon. And
We
then
want to put a pool in.
pool.
Yeah, the
okay.
pool was originally part of the plan. I've always had a pool, even in the valley, with a little house in a crappy area, but it had
Yeah.
a pool, and I grew up
Yeah.
with a pool. So we want a pool. My kids love a pool.
Who doesn't?
We took the pool out because of trying to save money and
Yeah.
everything else I've been talking about. But now we're going to try to get the pool done.
Perfect.
Refinance and then pay for the pool and just get it done immediately. Everyone I talk to who has a pool says if you are going to do it, just do it.
Yeah.
Don't wait 2-3 years. Like you will use the heck out of it. We know we will. We use the heck out of it. So
Yeah.
a pool, and then that involves landscaping, obviously. So that's
Right.
the next thing.
Okay. Driveway, the dirt road from the street
Yeah.
to your house. Are you going to do anything or kind
gonna
of
say gravel.
Yeah.
It's going to say gravel.
Because is that shared by you and your neighbors?
The one
Or-
road leading in, but then eventually we do have our own.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the question of fencing the whole property.
Yeah. Do you have a dog? No.
We want to get a couple dogs, big
Okay.
dogs, to be
Yeah.
on the property, and that would it'll be like 1,000 feet of fence. So
Yeah.
it's not a
Maybe
small
another thing that you can buy on China and have day laborers
Yeah.
do, right? To save a bit
Yes.
of cost.
I'm thinking I might do it myself, but it might be too big of a project. It might take me
Yeah,
too
one of
long.
those like ride-on like augers,
Yes.
and then you could drill all the holes, right?
Yes.
And then have someone help you put it up.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So I'm considering that, but it's a big project.
Yeah.
And do we want to take a year and a half to get it done,
Yeah.
or 3 months, or
So what
really
about the
quickly.
animals? Then are you going to get like a chicken
Yeah.
coop you're going to build, or are
Mhm.
you going to have like goats and
Yeah.
cows and turkeys and
What I've
stuff?
told my wife is that I've done enough building. Like, I'll teach you how to build the chicken coop.
Yeah. It
Lots of
doesn't have to be
women.
perfectly straight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of women are building chicken coops and building all kinds of cool stuff on YouTube. And she
Yeah.
loves the YouTube videos. I'm like, you can build a chicken coop.
Yeah. How fun
So
would
I'll
that
help
be?
her, obviously. But yeah,
Yeah.
we want goats.
Okay.
I don't think we're going to go as far as a cow or a horse, but it's not out of the picture.
Okay.
But maybe a cow or a horse. Maybe. I don't
Maybe
know.
you might find one that needs to be rescued or
Yes,
rehomed or
that's the
something.
idea,
So
yeah.
I know livestock can get expensive,
Yep.
especially when they get sick.
Yes.
I don't know if I'm sure there's insurance for horses and stuff like that, but I know the
Yeah.
traveling vets aren't cheap when you got to come out and,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah, and being in that area, there's the resources for that stuff in St. Canes, horse properties and stuff. So
right.
probably not horses, probably not just for what
Okay.
you're talking about, but
Yeah.
maybe a small cow.
Yeah. Yeah. Or just like a cow that's the size of a big dog, right?
Yeah, yeah,
The scruffy
exactly.
ones, so
And then I would like to do it again.
yeah.
I'd like to buy another property and do.
Rinse, repeat.
Yeah.
Where though?
The property I bought came with another parcel,
Okay.
so I have another parcel I can build on.
In that same area,
Right next to me.
right next door.
Yeah, I bought multiple parcels.
Okay.
The woman that I bought them from had multiple parcels.
Okay.
So I bought them together.
Now, would you build this next house? So I guess here's the
I'd
grand
be building
plan,
a house
right?
for a neighbor.
Okay.
Or I'd be building a house that I would move into and sell my
Current
house I
house.
just built, but that's
Yeah.
not the plan.
Okay.
But this is, I mentioned it to my wife and she almost fainted. But, yeah, she almost passed out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like I've learned enough that I could
Do it again.
do it again.
Yeah.
And, it could be profitable. So,
Yeah, certainly. If
Yeah.
you're going to do it slowly over time, and
Yeah.
like you said, now with all the knowledge that you
yeah,
have,
I wouldn't do the roof.
yeah.
I would not do the roof. I would not do as much hands-on
Yeah.
stuff. It's too much.
So out of this whole interview, I
Yeah.
think we've gotten the fact that contractors are worth their weight in gold.
Yes.
Architects are worth their weight in gold,
Yes.
and you should hire a roofer for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Don't take on more than you can chew just because it looks easy on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even the guys that would help me were saying those freaking YouTubers in Spanish, those YouTubers, they make it look so easy.
Yeah.
And it's not easy. It's not easy. But yeah, think about doing it again. Maybe a year or two from now, starting.
Okay.
Although I know the process takes a long time just to get to construction. So yeah, I'll see when we're 100% done when we want to start that. And
Yeah.
build another one.
Yeah. So you could either build a new house for you guys to move into and sell your current one,
Yeah.
or you could build a smaller house for your in-laws or something like that, or
Yeah.
you could build a house for the intentions of selling it.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
It would make most sense for us to move into that one and sell the one we're in because at that point we'd have been in it for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
And then we save whatever.
500,000 on your capital gains
Capital
from your,
gains tax.
from your purchase price.
Yes.
But you don't have a purchase price. So
Oh, yeah.
it's the assessed value at maybe this is where CPA would come in.
Yeah.
I would say it's the assessed value when you get the certification of occupancy.
Uh-huh.
Because what property taxes have you paid right now?
Just the land.
Just the land, because there's no
Mhm.
structure. So
Mhm.
once they find out that you're living there and that's your primary address,
Yep.
I think they're going to reassess you at that basis.
Yes.
So you would have 500,000 from that point on.
Yes.
So maybe live in it and then put the pool in,
Oh, right.
because then you can put the pool
Well,
in.
they'll
and get some of
reassess when the
that.
pool goes in. It has to be permitted also, and they'll reassess.
But
and then
your
increase.
cost basis
Oh,
will
I
be the
see.
same, right?
The plan is to finish the house, get occupancy, which is like right around the corner, a week or two,
Yeah.
and then put in the pool after.
Okay.
Yeah, and then add on more solar panels after. So
Yeah.
yeah, so you're right.
So the
Get it
cost
assessed.
basis versus the tax
Yes.
basis. Yeah.
Yes, that's smart.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
get that done.
Yeah. Or maybe build a duplex or a 4-unit building.
Yeah.
You know, if you're really planning on making some money,
Yes.
then build a
Yep.
build a 4-unit
A
building
rental.
where
Yeah.
you can have 4 2-bedroom units,
Yep.
and now you're
This
making.
parcel we're on was so big that was originally the plan also.
Okay.
A big, a 3,500 square foot house, a 40 by 60 shop/garage, and then a good size ADU.
Yeah.
I forget what the
1,200, I think, is
the
the
biggest.
as big as
So
you can do
1,200
ADUs. Yeah.
ADU all separated far enough, and the property is almost 3 acres, so it's
Yeah.
far enough that we could put an ADU over there. Those plans all kind of,
Yeah.
went down as everything got more expensive, and we got a dose of reality.
Yeah.
Also, the ADU would have to have its own septic system.
Yep.
And I was like, okay, let's cut that out.
So I had a
Cut the
client
pool
of
out.
mine.
Yeah.
I had a client of mine who wanted to buy a piece of land and build a duplex for
Mhm.
an investment purpose. And they didn't get that far into it. They got up to the point where the city said that you have to do improvements. I forget exactly what it was called. It was like they had to improve the infrastructure basically pave a road and put fire hydrants
Yeah.
down the street
Yeah.
if they were to build on this street. So just because they had to pave and put fire hydrants,
Yeah.
that threw them over the top.
Yes.
It was almost $200,000,
Yeah.
$150,000
Yeah.
before they could even
We had a few
do what they
scares like
wanted
that.
to do.
We had a few scares like that were deal breakers. Dream ending
Yeah,
things like that. And one of them was the fire department. And that's why I talk about the persistence.
yeah,
Is there anything else we can do? Like what else? Like, are you sure this has to be this way? Because you look around, you're like, well, that house doesn't have it. That house doesn't have it.
certainly.
Don't require-
Yeah,
But new laws, new things.
Yeah.
Sorry, you are
they're
required.
grandfathered in.
Yeah. If you're
Wow.
looking for a property, besides looking at flood and hazard type stuff, earthquakes, septic stuff, a huge consideration is the fire department
Yeah.
and turnarounds. Fire department needs a certain amount of space to turn around their engines. They need
Oh,
a fire
gotcha.
hydrant within a certain distance.
To get to their hoses aren't that
Yes,
long.
and if
Gotcha.
they don't, you have to install a fire hydrant. You have to install huge, like you just said, huge
Yeah.
piping to
Yeah.
get that fire hydrant set up. And those are deal breakers unless you have very, very deep pockets. And,
Yeah.
Yes, there's hidden there's hidden nuggets like
Yeah.
that throughout.
So,
Yeah.
so is it safe to say that you should plan twice as expensive as you think it's going to cost you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do not go into it like I did, with not knowing how you're going to finish it. Not
Yeah.
wise. It was COVID time. Things were falling apart. It seemed like it wasn't going to fall apart. It was a little more of a gamble.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, I'm just going to go all in here and get it done. And I knew I could get it. Just my persistence. I just don't
Yeah.
give up on things. So that's why I mentioned that a lot. But yeah, it's people, I think they say maybe 20% more, like online stuff.
Yeah.
Once you create your budget plan, have a 20% contingency.
I say 50, man. Like
I mean, you're talking about spending, $800,000, $1 million, 50 is enough. Yeah. I mean,
another
maybe
500
maybe
just in case.
maybe that's a big
100
maybe.
here, 80
Yeah.
here, right?
It
the
is.
city was 80. The
You're not
fire
wrong.
could be 100. So
You're not wrong. Yeah. The other thing that's crazy is that I didn't expect is, like you're fixing something in your house.
Hmm.
You go to Home Depot and it costs you $100.
Yeah.
Like every time you go to Home Depot, $100, I have to fix this one little thing I'm doing or whatever.
Yeah.
For me, when I would go to Home Depot, it would be every other day. And at the end of the week, it was between, $2,000 and $8,000
Wow.
in things the guys needed.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, you could go pick up, 25 sheets of drywall or whatever. Not drywall. That came from a separate company. But just like
Yeah.
all the little things, I was like,
Well, you don't need one outlet. You need 100
yes,
or whatever.
that type of stuff
Yeah.
would happen. And these little trips to my wife, I'm like, by the way, I'm spending every week,
Yeah.
and construction was 9 months, and that was pretty fast.
Yeah.
Every week I'm spending another 500, 1,000, 3,000. Last week I spent 3,000. I didn't expect to spend this money.
Yeah.
It does slow down. There's
Yeah.
periods when, boom, it goes up, it comes down. A lot of these tradespeople also, they deal in labor only and you buy the materials,
Okay.
which
So
is
then-
interesting. And but how do I know? They give you an estimate of what it's going to be. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, I get it.
I guess because finishes are so
Yes.
like
yeah.
you could buy a $500 sink or a
Yeah.
$5,000
Yeah.
sink, right?
Not only finishes, but like tile, mortar.
Oh, okay. The
Like-
thin set.
Yeah, thin set. Like, why wouldn't they just buy the thin set?
Yeah.
They're like, no, I need this thin set from this company. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, and I
That's,
need
that's the one you like. Yeah.
exactly. So that stuff, there was a lot of that stuff
Okay.
by not using a contractor.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and I wish they were a little more. I would text them and call them in the morning. Do you need anything today?
Gotcha.
Or I'm literally at
Try
Home
to get
Depot
out
right
ahead
now
of
at
it.
6 a.m. Do you need anything? No, we're good. By 8 a.m. they had a list
Damn.
almost every day. It
Wow.
was, yeah. And eventually I was like, look, I'm not going to go. I'm just not going. And then okay. I said to my wife, we
Yeah.
figure it out. But yeah, it's constant.
Man.
Yeah. That was it.
Well, I'm happy that you got all the way to the end of the
Can we
finish
stop
line.
talking about this now? Because
Yeah.
I'm getting stressed.
Yeah.
I'm just
It's
kidding.
It's over. You're gonna get.
I'm joking.
You're gonna be in, and you're gonna be settled,
Yeah.
and it's gonna be over. It's almost over.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for taking the time
Yeah.
to sit down with
I
me.
hope this
and
helps. I hope
Yeah.
this helps somebody.
Someone out there is gonna
Yeah.
find this very valuable
And not do it.
Yeah, probably.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now I'm not going to
Yeah.
do it. Yeah.
And then they'll call me and they'll look for regular
Yeah.
houses that are already done. So
I'm happy to help anybody. I really am. I'm happy to
Great,
sit
yeah.
down for an hour or two, free of charge. I'm not looking.
okay.
If anybody wants to sit down, honestly, people
Yeah.
drive by all the time because I'm Placerita, so they see it and they
Yeah.
see how it's going. And
Have them take you to lunch at least, so you
Yeah.
can sit with them.
I gave out 20 phone numbers to people who just wanted a little bits of advice and were thinking about doing it. And
Yeah.
had 10, 15 conversations with people and,
So cool that you're willing to help too.
yeah, because I just know what I went through and I know there's things that could I'd say to help them
Yeah.
save money or time. And I'm like,
But they got to have a little bit of knowledge too.
yeah,
They can't
yeah,
be totally blind.
they can't be totally blind.
So,
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
All right. Thanks.